The following is a Bearded Broadcaster Productions podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Hopefully, you can see us this week. I had some technical difficulties, no visual form of the podcast, but glad you were able to listen last week, and hopefully this week will go a little bit smoother. We think we've worked some of those issues out, but hopefully you can tune in to this one. Waffle, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be talking more sports from another crazy weekend, especially in college football. I'm ready to talk about college football because it was wild once again this weekend, and the NFL too. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just dive right into college football. We'll start off first. The no Clemson game this weekend. They were on their bye week, and thank God, because half that team is in body cast, but hopefully they're ready to go for this week's game against Syracuse. But talking about South Carolina and Tennessee, just up the road from where I am at in Jefferson City. And Tennessee, go over the blackout at noon. I gave all the jokes about it last week, of course, but it ended up working because the Tennessee offense scored 28 points in the first quarter again. South Carolina did make it a little bit interesting in the second half when Tennessee went more conservative, but Tennessee's able to pull away and hold on for the victory. Waffle, what did you see or what did you not see from your Gamecocks this weekend?
Yeah.
It was a rough loss to a big-time conference rival.
Yeah, I mean, they just out of the gate, just not good. I mean, they put 28 on us in the first quarter, and it was over from that point. Because, I mean, we come out first drive and we go 3 and out, and then they 14 plays, 66-yard drive, set the tone by scoring a touchdown. And then we punt again, and they just take it right down the field in 3 plays and get a touchdown. So it's quickly 14-0. And then this is just so stupid what we do on the next possession. Like, we go on a 10-play, 73-yard drive, and we are pounding the football. Let me just read you these plays. Juju McDowell run for 22 yards. McDowell run for 3 yards. McDowell run for 3 yards. Luke Doty pass complete for 11. Luke Doty pass complete for 12. Kevin Harris run for 11. Kevin Harris run for 9. Kevin Harris run for 3. DeKerion Joyner ran for a loss of 1 yard. We're down to the Tennessee 2-yard line at this point.
Chance to make it a game.
Yes. And we run like a halfback pass on the 2-yard line. We have been running the ball 9 yards, 3 yards, 12 yards, 11 yards, 22 yards, gashing them on the run game. What possesses you to say, yeah, let's run a fake halfback pass with our defensive lineman throwing the ball? Please tell me how much. That is so stupid.
Yeah.
I left work. I had to work till 12. And I went to Sports Break restaurant here in Greenwood, and I just got lunch, and I was watching the game at Sports Break. And I mean, it was just a collective, what the heck are you doing in Sports Break? Like, everybody was just like, ah. And we all kind of looked at each other, and I was just like, you have to be freaking kidding me. We put Jordan Birch back here, who is a defensive lineman for us, and run a halfback pass. And he throws it into triple coverage, and it is intercepted in the end zone. And that's it. Game over. Like, I don't get done. No, you can't come back from that. That's absolutely ridiculous. Play call, so stupid. Tennessee goes 5 plays, 80 yards after that, after the touchback, in 1 minute and 18 seconds. 21-0. Carolina gets the ball, 1 play. We fumbled. Tennessee gets it. 3 plays, 24 yards, touchdown. It's 28-0. Game over. And it got ugly before half. We finally scored a touchdown. It was 38-7 at halftime. And second half, I mean, Tennessee called dogs off, and we, got 38-20, where there was a small shred of possibility that Carolina could do nothing, but absolutely not. Carolina goes on downs next 2 drives, and that's it. This is an awful loss, not necessarily an awful loss in the sense that we should have beat Tennessee, because Tennessee obviously is better. And so, great game for Tennessee. I mean, their offense capitalized on what they did well against Missouri, and they put up 2 games where they have absolutely obliterated their opponent. So
Yeah.
Tennessee with some momentum as they head deeper into conference play for sure. And then Carolina now sitting at 0-3 in the conference, with the first two losses being, I guess if you could call it a good loss. And then this one just looked bad. So I don't really know where Carolina goes from here. They've got, we'll talk about it. They got Vanderbilt this week, and then they just get kicked in the teeth with the meat of the SEC schedule coming up at the end, plus Clemson. So who knows? No idea what's going to happen here. But, a bad day to be a Gamecock, a great day to be a Tennessee Volunteer. So,
yeah, it's one of those games that, this is one you needed that we talked about could change the direction, get you to possible bowl eligibility, or make it at least a little easier. Now, you got Vandy, who's not great, hasn't looked great. They haven't scored a point in conference play. We'll talk about that game more later. But, yeah, you got to go to College Station, which is rocking, of course, after this weekend. Host Florida, who still looked good, but they just haven't looked as good, but they're still a good team. Go to Missouri. That's always a tough place to play, I feel like. Host Auburn, who knows what you're going to get with Bo Nix. And then Clemson, who hasn't looked great, but has looked fantastic on defense. So, it's a tough play. The best stat of this game is that 4 different people threw a pass for South Carolina. The one with the best QBR is the punter, Kai Kroger. 1 for 1, 44 yards and a touchdown. That's phenomenal. Josh Vann was 1 for 1 with 6 yards, and of course Jordan Birch 0 for 1 with that pick. And then Doty 19 at 31, 167. I feel like he's just trying to get back into shape again after the injury last year. Kevin Harris had a good day.
Yeah, he did. Luke Doty did more with his feet, which I was happy to see.
Yeah.
He had a lot of plays where he actually looked like he was able to scramble away and make something out of nothing, which is what he's known for and what he needs to get back to doing. So I'm glad he was able to do that. But he only had finished with 9. He had 9 carries, 29 yards. That includes sacks too. But yeah, Kevin Harris, 61 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. Juju McDowell had 41 yards. Marshawn Lloyd had 24 yards. So once again, we didn't get a whole lot of opportunities. When we were rolling and running the ball great, we threw that halfback pass, and that just killed us. And then we didn't hardly have the ball anymore in the first half. So I mean, who knows if they just run the ball in there with Kevin Harris and score a touchdown? Who knows? It could be a completely different game. But that's not how it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just have some of these games so far. Of course, Shane Beamer in his first year, you're going to have some of these games, especially with, again, what he had to come back with. Jalen Foster still had another great game. 13 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. This kid's great. Great to see him succeed. Like I've said, after he left Gardner-Webb, was a Big South Defensive Player of the Year. They actually talked a little bit about that on the broadcast of him at Gardner-Webb, which was nice to see. The Dogs get some love there. So just a great job for him. I'm proud of him. Proud of what he's done. Tennessee, I know I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Tennessee's not back to where they have been in the past, early 2000s, all that yet. But Josh Heupel, man, they're catching on to this offense a lot quicker than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Because Hendon Hooker finally looks really good. 17 of 23, 225, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Tyan Evans had 16 carries, 119 yards and a touchdown. And Hendon Hooker ran 26 yards for a touchdown as well. So, they are catching on to this offense. Are they going to beat the top teams in the SEC like the Bamas and the Georgias? I don't know, but they might be able to give them a game this year instead of in the years past when they just go out and just lay an egg on those big time games. So we'll see what Tennessee can do. It's a lot more interesting there. And, I was talking to one of my friends that I don't know how to feel because I'm actually feeling excited for Tennessee football after this first couple of games, And even against Pitt, who I think Pitt's a pretty good team. They lost that game, but they still looked good in that one. Still had the offense rolling. So we'll have to see what Tennessee can do in year one under Josh Heupel. We'll go around the nation in college football. A fantastic weekend. Start off on Thursday. We got to talk about the Beach Chickens. Coastal Carolina 6-0 now for the second straight year. 52-20 win over Arkansas State. Grayson McCall is probably the best quarterback in the state of South Carolina right now.
For
18 of 23, 365 yards and 4 touchdowns against Arkansas State. By the way, if you don't know, Arkansas State is coached by Butch Jones of Tennessee.
Yeah, great.
So, the champions of life for the Red Wolves, but they are 1-5. But I feel like they kind of had the cover left empty after their coach left. But, Coastal Carolina, 6-0. I don't think – remember they climbed number 15 in the country. They have a big time game against rival Appalachian State next Wednesday, I believe. The Sun Belt's on that weird schedule now.
Yeah.
They play the weird games. After that, they have Troy at home on a Thursday. After that, they kind of have the bottom of the Sun Belt. So undefeated regular season could be clear again. Remember, they didn't play a championship game last year because of COVID issues with them and Louisiana Lafayette. So
right.
See what they can do, what the Chanticleers can do. I don't think we're going to talk playoff spot about them because they just haven't played anybody great.
Yeah,
non-conference.
It would be.
It'd be
almost null and void, but
it'd be a big time stretch for them to get in. But it'd be fun if they go undefeated. It'd be really fun to see them.
Yeah, for sure.
Do some big things. We'll go on last Friday. Cincinnati mollywops Temple. 52-3. Desmond Ridder, another good game. 22 of 30, 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jerome Ford, 15 carries, 149 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Cincy taking care of business, doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
Especially after this week, rising up in the rankings again. They're inside the top 4 now. Spoiler alert. Number 3 in the country. So now Cincy doing what they have to do. You just got to go beat these teams that you're way better than by about 40. And, they'll stay in, I think, the good graces of CFP for now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no room for error on anything. So they can't screw up at all.
Yeah, if they miss covering the spread on some of these games, the CFP is going to look at that as a failure, and that's tough for them. That's just the situation they're in. They can't help what everybody else is doing. Yeah. Arizona State beat Stanford 28-10. Arizona State's now 5-1. Did you see the lateral interception they had?
Yes, I did.
Wild.
Yeah, it was.
That's your Pac-12 after dark. Again, Stanford, I have no idea if they're a good football team or not.
No clue. Did not learn a single thing from this game, which I really didn't anticipate to. But
exactly, and their schedule that's left is Washington State. That game's getting dumb.
Yeah,
that game's gonna get stupid real quick. Washington, Utah. I feel like that's got stupidity written all over it. Oregon State, Cal, Notre Dame. They're gonna go off and beat Notre Dame somehow.
Yeah,
I feel like. This team is so dumb.
Yes.
It's Stanford but they love the goal line fade, and I'll give them the respect. They have run that play, I think, like 15 times this season, and I think it's worked about 3 times, but they keep going back to it, so good for them.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is never change. Never change anything you're doing. Just always stick with what you're doing, even if it's not working.
Yep.
We'll get to Saturday, and of course, big time upset that we got to talk about first. Texas A&M knocks off Alabama 41-38 on a last play field goal. This is despite at one point in the second half, Texas A&M running just 10 plays in the entire second half. They hold on and beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's the first time Alabama's lost to an unranked team since 2007 when UL Monroe upset the Tide in Nick Saban's first year. Zach Calzada, heck of a game for him. He's the second string quarterback, had to step in after the Colorado game. 21-31, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Anais Smith had 6 catches, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This game at halftime, it was 20-10 or 24-10, excuse me.
Yeah.
And, I think everybody was kind of like, okay, this is interesting, but we all kind of thought in the back of our minds, Alabama's going to come back. They're going to come back and win it. And they did. They came back and tied it up at 38. Or they came back and tied it at 31 first. And then just Calzada gets absolutely murdered on this play.
Yeah.
A beautiful pass to Anais Smith for a touchdown. That gives them the lead. Bryce Young leads another drive back to tie it up. And then Calzada, again, just a perfect drive, sets them in field goal range. And they kick it through. Seth Small kicks it through for the win. Seth Small, second straight year on this weekend, he's upset a top 5 team with a field goal. They beat Florida on the same day last year, 41-38 by the same score. It's a wild day, just a wild game. I did not expect this at all.
No, I didn't either. Props to A&M. They really had all the momentum in the world coming into this season. It felt like this was going to be the year that they were going to do something, and they have underperformed up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
So going into this game, CBS did the double broadcast. They had this game at 8:00.
Yep.
And going into it, I was like, it sucks that, A&M's not doing too hot because this game was going to be good. It was the reason it was put at night. And it ended up exceeding all my expectations. And Zach Calzada, can't say enough about him. My God, the hand he's dealt being the second string quarterback coming in and playing as good as he did in this game, it's unreal. A heck of a game from him. But yeah, props to A&M for getting it done, especially knocking out Alabama, which I know more than 85% of the people in the United States are very happy that Alabama took a loss. But
yeah, so again, Alabama, they dropped to 5th in the rankings, so they're still kind of alive at CFP, kind of control their own destiny. Probably have to, win out and win the SEC title to get back in there, which they can do. They're still good. Bryce Young still had a good game. Brian Robinson Jr. still had a good game. Jameson Williams had a great game. So still great job in the second half, and Alabama woke up. I feel like it was a little too late. And I think, we saw it with Florida. Florida kind of figured out this Bama defense a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Texas A&M, I think, finally was like put it all together. So is the Alabama team not as perfect as they have been in the past on defense? Of course, they're replacing a lot more than usual, but they're still good. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you're going to go out there and they're going to go out and lose to some team that has no idea what they're doing. But this is a big one and a big time win. A ton of streaks were broken by Bama. The unranked one, the regular season loss streak. There was like 4. I think there's like 6 things someone put on Reddit, different streaks that are broken.
Yeah.
By Texas A&M. So big time win for the Aggies, and big time Jimbo Fisher called his shot back in May, and they did it. So I'm very surprised by that. Now Texas A&M has to avoid the letdown.
The inevitable.
Yeah, because they still have the back half of their schedule still includes a trip to Oxford, includes Auburn, includes LSU. So
yeah,
gotta avoid the letdown, gotta finish strong, and probably not gonna make it to the SEC title game since they have 2 conference losses, but at least try to get a 10-win season. If you can.
This is I told you this and I put it on Facebook and stuff, but like this is how Jimbo Fisher wins the fan base back, and then he's gonna finish 8-4, and it's just gonna be underwhelming.
Exactly. I mean, we've talked about when South Carolina beat Alabama next week. What they lost to Kentucky. So
right,
you gotta avoid the letdown after winning this big time game.
And then watch A&M going at Missouri this week, 12 o'clock noon. You never know.
Kickoff, yep.
God forbid they lose to South Carolina for the first time.
Let's continue rolling. This game was awesome. It wasn't college game day game. It was the Fox Sports big time game, but it should have been the game day game, I feel like. But Iowa and Penn State.
Yeah.
Iowa rallies to beat Penn State 20-20. No Sean Clifford in the second half, and boy, that hurt the Nittany Lions. They scored 3 points in the second half against this strong Iowa defense. Spencer Petras, again, Iowa's the team that is going to do absolutely nothing and make you hate life. And Spencer Petras did just enough to give the Hawkeyes over to the hump. 17-31, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Most of those yards went to Nico Regani, 4 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. And Iowa storms the field, and Iowa's now number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
And the rest of their schedule, they got Wisconsin left and Nebraska on the road, which Nebraska, we'll talk about them soon. It's still a tough place to play. But other than that, Iowa looks like they could run this table and make it to the Big Ten championship game.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It was a heck of a game. Iowa with that stout defense in the second half. Obviously, Penn State not having Sean Clifford did hurt them. But Iowa with a heck of a performance. And then just the scene at Kinnick Stadium was amazing. The atmosphere, and then obviously Gus Johnson calling it, everything about it was just great. So props to Iowa, but they can definitely, with the rest of this schedule they can definitely run the table and win the Big Ten and get into the playoff, no doubt.
Absolutely. And even before Clifford went out, he was not having a great day. 15-25, 146, no touchdowns and 2 picks. Penn State threw 4 interceptions. This is a great Iowa secondary that just flies around. They're going to get fixed, and then defensively they got a sack and a couple tackles for loss as well. So they're crazy. Matt Hankins probably one of the best corners that you probably haven't heard about till this year.
Yeah. Penn State 10 penalties to Iowa's 4 as well.
Yeah. That's gonna hurt too. Daquan Robertson also had a fumble when he came in. So just tough day for Penn State. Again, you really kind of did hope that Sean Clifford would have been healthy for the whole game to see how that would have turned out. But man, Iowa they did it when they had to and got the win. We'll see what the Hawkeyes can do down the road. This one, Oklahoma and Texas in the craziest game of the day, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
The noon slate, by the way, was wild. If you didn't watch any of the noon games, you missed out because it was insane. Oklahoma gets down 28-7 to Texas, and they score 35 points in the second half to win it 55-48. Literally scored. Kennedy Brooks scored with about 3 seconds left on the clock to take the final lead for Oklahoma. They knock off Texas, and boy, we've said Oklahoma's been sleepwalking all year, but this time I think they woke up.
Yeah.
And no, it was against a Texas team that hasn't looked great. But man, if you're Texas, that was one you had to take advantage of, and they just couldn't.
I know. They jumped out on them so early with a 28-7 lead after the first quarter. And it looked like it was going to be an awful day for Oklahoma.
It was 14-0, 90 seconds into the game.
Yeah,
a block punt and a touchdown.
Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fast.
Just wild. I don't know what to say. If you're Texas right now, you've got to be fuming because you had that in the bag and then just blew it. And then came back and tied it and then blew it once again this time.
Yep.
Left away. Casey Thompson, Texas, still had a great day, though.
Yeah, wide receiver for Texas, Xavier Worthy, freshman, 9 receptions, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He took a screen pass 80 yards for a touchdown. That's
unreal
so
day
quick
for him.
He is
freshman
so
out
quick.
of Fresno.
Such a great player, man. The Texas has got some excitement there, but man, still not quite back.
Yeah,
still horns down forever.
Yeah, still horns down for sure. But we cannot go without mentioning Spencer Rattler getting benched.
Yeah,
and that being the catalyst for Oklahoma. Caleb Williams comes in, goes 16 of 25 for 212 and 2 touchdowns with a 98.1 QBR. Spencer Rattler was 8 of 15 for 111 yards and a pick. So I mean, Lincoln Riley sat him down, and Caleb Williams came in and got it done. Now, a lot of that was behind Kennedy Brooks as well, who had 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. But a heck of a day from Caleb Williams. And it's crazy to see a Heisman front runner at the beginning of the season getting benched like that and the team coming back and winning. So we'll see what they do going forward.
Yep. Got to give a shout out to Bijan Robinson, though, for Texas. 20 carries, 137 yards, and a touchdown. That kid's so shifty, so good. Yeah. Reminds me of a lot of Reggie Bush, and he looked the part for the most part in that game.
Yeah.
Against Oklahoma. So just a wild game, fantastic game, and just a crazy win for Oklahoma. Michigan goes on the road to Nebraska, knocks off the Cornhuskers 32-29. This is a game that Michigan led 13-0 at the half. Nebraska stormed back to take the lead. But Michigan at the end ends up winning it in a bad fumble by Adrian Martinez. The final drive cost the Cornhuskers. Nebraska is about 5 plays away from being 7-0 this year.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Just so many close losses. I think they just can't they haven't been able to get done on the big stage. Scott Frost, I believe, falls to 0-11 against top 25 teams during his time at Nebraska, that's not why they hired him.
No, it's definitely not.
So man, that's this one. Cade McNamara actually kind of looked human for Michigan, 22 of 38, 255 and a pick. But this rushing game by Michigan still insanely good. This time it was Hassan Haskins getting involved with 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum still got 89 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And despite Adrian Martinez trying to carry his team, 3 touchdowns, 291 yards and a pick, still that fumble at the end. Just cost them the game. And so Nebraska very close. I think Nebraska is a lot better than they have been. We joke about them a lot, but man, they are. It's heartbreak city right now in Lincoln.
Yes, it is. It's not going well. Things are just not falling their way.
I feel like, and they could probably spoil Iowa. That's why I say they could probably spoil Iowa's season. They're probably the best team to have a chance to do that.
Yeah,
because they play them at the end of the year on Black Friday. It's going to probably be cold and disgusting. That game is always like cold and disgusting for some reason.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the United States, it could be sunny and 65. And over there in either Lincoln or in Iowa City, it's going to be like 34 and snowing or raining. And it ends on a field goal every year. So doesn't matter what the records are, but
yeah,
we'll have to keep an eye on that. Boise State goes on the road and knocks off BYU 26-17.
Yeah, this surprised me.
Yeah, Boise's 3-3 this year. They haven't had looked great. BYU's looked really good, and BYU, of course, I don't know if they're looking ahead because they have Baylor this week. We'll talk about that one, but another injured BYU quarterback situation. I don't know if that came up because Jaron Hall started this one for BYU.
Yeah.
But man, Boise put it on the second quarter and then held on to win the game. This is Boise. They don't go on the road a lot to play top 10 teams.
Yeah.
This is their first win of our top 10 team on the road since I believe 2001. That's what they said on ESPN. And really, if you look at the stats, just not impressive on offense, but the defense was really good for Boise State. They forced 3 fumbles and an interception in this one and also had a sack. So it's a great job by Boise State, and that's a big-time win. That kind of dashes the Cougars' CFP hopes.
Yeah.
As they were moving up the ranks. And we'll look at this one. This is the other crazy game at noon. Ole Miss and Arkansas, an absolute shootout. 52-51 win for Ole Miss. Just wild. Wild game in Oxford. That was low scoring for the most part in the first half. It was 21-14 at halftime. This Ole Miss led. And the second half, everybody just comes alive. 37 points for Arkansas in the second half. 31 for Ole Miss in the second half. Matt Corral really didn't have that great of a game. 14-21, 287, 2 touchdowns. He didn't throw 6 picks, though, like last year.
Right.
But rushing-wise, Ole Miss, Henry Parrish Jr., 111 yards. Snoop Connor, 110. Matt Corral had 94 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. On the Arkansas side, KJ Jefferson had 326 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Raheem Sanders had 139 yards rushing. KJ Jefferson rushed for 3 touchdowns and 85 yards. Traylon Smith rushed for 85 yards and a touchdown. And I will give Sam Pittman credit. He went for 2 in the win. And, I will give him credit. I hated the play call. Because I feel like they ran a bootleg out to the near sideline. First of all, you kind of bunch everything up right there on the goal line. And I think they were wanting to see if KJ Jefferson kind of sneak in and get a run.
Yeah.
And I think Ole Miss stayed at home, played zone, put somebody in a QB spy. And there were about 5 powder blue jerseys over there and about 3 receivers. So if KJ just kind of had to throw it up, almost completed it. But, I didn't like the play call. But, no, I will give Sam Pittman all the credit in the world. Go for 2 in the win. Don't end it because your defense is tired. Don't take it into overtime. But that's a heck of a win by Ole Miss to rebound after a bad loss to Alabama. And, I don't think Arkansas is reeling. They're 4-2. But, man, it's just 2 disappointing losses for Arkansas after such a great start.
Yeah, no doubt. Ole Miss played great. Like you said, Matt Corral, 287 in the air, but the 94 on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Snoop Connor, his 110 yards on the ground. He had 3 touchdowns for Ole Miss.
That's wild.
But, yeah, this game was wild. Like, I had the unfortunate pleasure of watching the whole South Carolina-Tennessee game. And so then when that was over, I finally was like, okay, who else is playing? Oh, my God, Oklahoma came back. Oh, my gosh, Ole Miss and Arkansas are duking it out with a minute left. So I saw, pretty much the whole end of this game. But, yeah, props to Pittman for going for it. I love it, going for the throat. But the play call, in my opinion, sucked. I hated it. I just thought they could have done literally anything else, and it would have been better. But, props to Ole Miss. And Lane Kiffin, in his own home stadium, getting pissed off at the clock operator because he didn't let that 1 second run off. I love that.
I know. Yeah. You're not supposed to do home field advantage, man. Look, that second run off, and there's no chance for that. But, wild game. That's usually always a wild game anyway. Yeah. And this year was even better meeting. Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Notre Dame goes to Plattsburgh and knocks off the Hokies 32-29. A costly mistake by Virginia Tech at the end of the game. Cost them the win over Notre Dame. This was a pretty good physical battle like we kind of expect between these two teams. Kyron Williams had another good day for Notre Dame, 19 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Braxton Burmeister didn't look great for the Hokies. And then you saw two quarterbacks play for Notre Dame. You saw Jack Cohn play some. You saw Tyler Buckner play. So gotta wonder what the situation is quarterback-wise for Notre Dame, but it was good enough to get the win over Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this ended up being a good game there at the end when Notre Dame winning on a field goal. But, not the best day from Burmeister. So it would have been a nice win for Virginia Tech, even though it's sad it doesn't count as a conference game like it would have last year. But and then the Notre Dame quarterback situation is also interesting. Like I thought in the weeks past that I think the other guy, not Jack Conner, not Buckner, but the other kid that was in there.
The guy played last week against Cincinnati.
I thought that. I guess he's hurt. I'm honestly unsure.
Might be,
but
I just caught the end of this game. So.
I did too. I didn't really see a whole lot of it because I was watching.
Bama A&M.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, interesting there. I saw something to Justin Fuente though. The guy's is the opposite of Sam Pittman. The guy has kicked, I think, more field goals inside the red zone than any coach has that's currently in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's saying something because Pitt used to do that a lot. So Justin Fuente, you gotta be able to go for it sometimes and just go for the throat. Kentucky knocks off LSU 42-21. Kentucky is 6-0 now. Will Levis had a heck of a game for the Wildcats, and Ed Orgeron, I believe, is in trouble.
Yeah,
because this end stretch for LSU is, we said it was going to be difficult last week. It's going to get even worse. But he also, I don't know if you saw his post-game press conference, he said he did not expect Kentucky to run the ball like that. Kentucky has Chris Rodriguez Jr. is the leading rusher in the entire SEC. He had 147 yards. Kavitsky Smoke had 104 yards. Will Levis had 75 yards by himself, 330 yards total for the Kentucky offense rushing. How does that get missed?
How stupid. Like, how the mighty have fallen. Like, this is unbelievable how 2 years ago they put together one of the better college football teams of all time who dominated all year.
Everybody. The best offense of all time.
And they have just fallen so hard and done nothing to sustain that. And now they're losing to Kentucky. Not that Kentucky's a bad team, but LSU just doesn't lose to Kentucky. Like even when victory is a guarantee for Kentucky, LSU wins the game.
Yep.
I.e. the Hail Mary back in the day. But I mean, that's unreal.
Yeah, and now of course, Derek Stingley's out, and it looks like Keyshawn Boot, the wide receiver for LSU, has been the best player on their offense. Looks like he's out for the season. He has 9 touchdowns, which are the most in the FBS.
Yeah.
So that gets rough. And this is who they have left. Number 20, Florida. At number 13, Ole Miss. At number 5, Alabama. Number 17, Arkansas. ULM. Number 21, Texas A&M.
They're lucky to win 2 of those. Like, they'll beat ULM, I think, but they're lucky to win another SEC game.
Yeah, it's going to be rough to get that. And
best opportunity is going to be Florida at home or possibly A&M.
Yeah, maybe Arkansas, but with how their defense played against offenses, I don't see them slowing down the Razorbacks.
Kind of blessed.
Yeah, then I think we're going to be saying goodbye to Ed Orgeron soon.
Yeah,
real soon.
So crazy,
especially if it doesn't work out for them this weekend against Florida. That's homecoming, by the way, too. So that could be some angry alumni there if they get smacked by the Gators in that one. Next one. Oh yeah. Join the Deke order. Join us. Wake Forest still undefeated. Never a doubt. You always have to listen. National champions always have to play a tough game against Syracuse. We've seen it before.
It's true.
We've seen it again. 40-37 in overtime in the Carrier Dome. Wake Forest is 6-0. Sam Hartman, 19-32, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. A.T. Perry, 3 catches, 137 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Unreal for A.T. Perry. Ignore the fact that Wake Forest's defense got gashed by Garrett Schrader, but still, Wake Forest holds on, wins a difficult game 6-0. They're halfway to 12-0, which means we're halfway to undefeated Demon Deacons in the college football playoff.
We're almost there, baby. And side note, Syracuse quarterback Garrett Schrader, if that name rings a bell, he played at Mississippi State last year. So if that name rings a bell to you,
phenomenal
that's
beard
why.
on this man.
Yeah, I did not even know he was there until I watched the parts of the game, and they said Garrett Schrader, and I said no shot. But yeah, Garrett Schrader had 178 yards rushing against this Wake Forest Demon Deacon defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tongue twister. Say that 4 times.
Yeah,
178 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, Wake Forest getting it done. Hey, the dream is not dead. That's all I care about. Like you said, teams have to face Syracuse. They have to have a tough game to win a national title. And Wake Forest has gotten past that. You're not going to win a national title without a little bit of adversity, even if it is Syracuse.
Exactly. You know, Clemson went up there and lost one year, still made it to the playoff. Clemson beat them at home and won the national championship one year. So, you know, this Syracuse is a weird team sometimes. And, of course, Clemson plays them this weekend. We'll talk about that too. But, hey, you got to have these games. And Wake Forest was able to win it. And hopefully we'll see what they can do down the stretch. Again, remember, they only have 2 home games left. And they got a tough stretch at the very end of the season that they'll have to deal with. But we'll see what Deeks can do. SMU knocks off Navy 31-24. SMU also undefeated, and they play Cincinnati at the very end of the year. So that one could be very interesting for both of those teams. SMU, of course, having to crawl their way back up more than the Bearcats were, because Bearcats were ranked in the top 10 to start the year. But hey, SMU getting it done. The Ponies looking pretty good so far, and if that might be a game day game.
Yeah, them in Cincinnati.
So it could be 2 undefeated teams, and then they could play again because I believe SMU's in a different division than Cincinnati. So they could play again. I think 2 weeks later they played again the American Championship. So it could be a wild one in the American to decide possibly a playoff spot. I want to briefly mention San Diego State 31-7 win for the Aztecs. The Aztecs, hey, guess what? They know how to run the ball, and they're undefeated to start the season. I feel like this happens every year. I feel like San Diego State starts about 5-0 every year, and they have a crazy running back. This time it's Greg Bell. He had 111 yards rushing and a touchdown against New Mexico. So that's just a good. And Jordan Brookshire, I believe, ran for 2 touchdowns too. So good job by the Aztecs. Usually favorites in the Mountain West now. It usually comes down between them, Boise, and Fresno. And so we'll see what happens between the Aztecs later this year.
Yeah.
This game got to talk about the ACC. Virginia and Louisville. Louisville was up 33-13 in this game in the fourth quarter. Virginia wins 34-33. Just an unreal collapse by the Cardinals. Brennan Armstrong, 487 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He threw 60 passes.
Yeah. You can't count Virginia out because because Armstrong is such a gunslinger. They can get themselves out of any hole, and I'm convinced. Like I would never bet against Virginia.
Absolutely. This reminded me too. Remember when Louisville played Virginia in basketball a few years ago and had like an 8-point lead with like 4 seconds left and blew it?
Oh yeah.
This is what this reminds me of too. Just the football version of it.
Yeah.
So just not quite as little time left, but gosh, that's a tough one for Louisville fans to swallow there. Because Louisville, I feel like, is on the cliffs of like they're not going to be great, but being better. Not quite Lamar Jackson team level, but being a respectable team, like possibly ranked in the lower top 25 or whatever. And they just do stuff to shoot themselves in the foot every year. I feel like they have a stupid game and they kind of can't recover from that.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams that have just fallen off in the ACC, Florida State knocks off North Carolina 35-25. It was 35-17 entering the fourth quarter in this one.
Yeah, what is the deal here? Like, what's going on?
I have no clue what's up with North Carolina. Jordan Travis has become the next incarnation of Charlie Ward, though, over the past 4 weeks. My goodness, Jordan Travis, 11-13, 145, and 3 touchdowns, and he also ran for 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. He scored all the points for Florida State.
Yeah.
He has literally put the team on his back after looking so bad against Notre Dame and getting benched for Mackenzie Milton. And then they hold Sam Howell to just 203 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and then 108 yards rushing still for Howell. But just doesn't look great. Now North Carolina's 3-3, and a lot of people thought they were going to be in the conference championship game. They're 2-3 in the ACC.
I mean, they had at least some playoff aspirations this year with how good people thought they were going to be. But listen to this, like so they lost to Virginia Tech in week 1. Okay, whatever. They come out, they murder Georgia State. They outduel Virginia, beat them by 20, dropping 59 on them. And then they come out and get spanked by a Georgia Tech team who is not good.
A Georgia Tech team that struggled to score 8 against Clemson the week before.
And then they go to Duke and they just beat the brakes off of Duke. And then they come out here and have an awful showing and lose to Florida State, who is not good at all.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get very much. It doesn't get any easier. I mean, they played Miami this week, which if they can't go beat a De'Aaron Kingless Miami team who has been just as bad as them, they got bigger issues. But then they go to Notre Dame. They have Wake Forest at home. They go at Pitt, who is leading the Coastal Division.
Yeah,
Wofford, and then Wofford, and then they're at NC State. So I mean, this is shaping up like it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough to get to a bowl game right now for North Carolina.
I say they beat Miami and they beat Wofford, but these other games, good God, it's going to be very hard for them to make a bowl game.
If you got to pick a win out of those, I can't find one right now. Because we know Wake doesn't have much of a defense either. That's going to be a crazy game, but I think Wake right now is going to be more than capable enough to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And then Pitt, same thing. They actually have a defense. Notre Dame's good, and it's out on the road. And then NC State looks good too, and that's on the road too. So this is just showing up to be a horrible year for North Carolina after the big-time aspirations for the Tar Heels.
I want to quickly mention this as well. Duke and Georgia Tech had a battle this weekend, but I just want to mention Mateo Durant again. Mateo Durant from McCormick, South Carolina, they gave the ball to him 43 times on the ground. They are running him into the dirt because he is all they have.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech made an unreal play at the end of the game to win this game, which we'll talk about that later, hint, hint. But but they're running Mateo Durant to death.
Yeah,
I just want to mention that. But
Jeff Sims a great pass to give them the win for the Ramblin' Wreck, who have looked better under Jeff Collins in this year.
Yeah,
maybe starting to figure it out. They're 3-3, so interesting to see how they can finish up the season. This one, baby, Sicko's game of the week up in Amherst, Massachusetts. UMass knocks off UConn 27-13. They score 20 points in the second half. Ellis Merriweather has 39 carries, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They storm the field to the Minutemen. Well, I think you're going to be right. I think UConn's not winning a single game this year.
UConn has 5 games left, and they are going to lose all of them. One of those includes Yale. That's this weekend at noon on CBS Sports Network. It's televised. You can watch this crap every freaking week, except the UMass game. But
UMass was on Flow Sports, which you had to pay for. I considered it, but I had to work during the games. I was like, dang, if it was a little earlier, maybe.
This is their chance. They have to beat Yale.
You got to. And right now, they're picked to win. Vegas has them winning by 6, which, ew. But ESPN's FPI has Yale winning with 59% chance to win this game.
I'm also seeing on here that UConn's interim football coach test positive for COVID.
Yeah, he wasn't even there on the sidelines.
He did not coach Saturday. Did that have anything to do with it? Probably not, but it didn't help.
Yeah, he's just practicing because he's already going to be gone at the end of the year. That man is focused on getting a new job. COVID testing is what I'm saying is why he was
if UConn does not beat Yale and then they play Middle Tennessee State at home the next week, and if they don't win one of those 2 games, it's a lock to go 0-12 because they finish at Clemson, at Central Florida, Houston. They're going to go 0-12. Come on, Yale. Don't let me down.
No. Let's go, Dogs. Let's go, Dogs. Come on. Finish them off in a big-time way. 2 teams need to mention. UTSA knocks off Western Kentucky 52-46. UTSA, who has only had a football team for 10 years, is now 6-0 in the FBS. Bailey Zappa for Western Kentucky, still a good quarterback, despite their team going 1-4, 523 yards and 5 touchdowns. But Sincere McCormick, good running back for UTSA, 23 carries, 120 yards. Frank Harris for 349 yards and 6 touchdowns. for the Roadrunners. And he also caught a 23-yard touchdown pass on some trickeration. So, meep, everybody. UTSA
Meep.
looks like they're going to be running the Conference USA this year.
Trivia for you. Do you know who the first coach of UTSA was?
Was it Larry Coker?
It was Larry Coker,
There we
the former
go.
Miami Hurricane.
Yes, sir. So.
Before we move on, I feel like we need to just mention these scores.
Mm-hmm.
From Saturday, Georgia knocked off Auburn 34-10. Wasn't a game. Is Bo Nix good? Who knows?
Yeah.
They played Georgia's defense. Stetson Bennett got to start for Georgia. Had a good day for him, but Georgia knocks them off.
The one thing I'll say about Georgia is I feel like their defense is great. I feel like they're going to somehow screw up this offense moving quarterbacks so much.
I'm just waiting for the back-breaking loss, like the letdown. Like it could come against Florida in that game, which Florida would have no business winning, or it could just come in the SEC title game if they play Alabama. If Alabama ends up winning the West, and Alabama might beat the brakes off them, who knows?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Maybe they could run the table and go undefeated, but based on what we've seen in years past, Georgia sports. Maryland got trounced by Ohio State.
How's that quality?
66-17.
How's that quality with talking themselves back to the CFP conversation? They still got to play Penn State later in the year and Michigan, so we'll see.
At Michigan State, is it time to start talking about Michigan State? Michigan State is undefeated.
Yep,
they're 6-0.
They had a tough one against Rutgers in the first half, but pulled away. They just played Michigan State football and Peyton Thorne for a pass to Jalen Naylor that was just perfect. In this game, and that's pretty good team. I think they finally got an offense up in Michigan State. You got to talk about Smarty a little bit.
Michigan State is another one. Obviously, if they go undefeated, win the Big Ten, they have a serious shot at CFP because they go at Indiana, they play Michigan at home, they go at Purdue versus Maryland, and they finish at Ohio State and home to Penn State. If they can win those games, they're definitely deserving.
And then possibly play Iowa in the championship that they're in.
Yeah. And then another one that I saw, Florida. Florida waxed Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt, like we previously mentioned, has not scored a point in SEC play. So yay, Vanderbilt.
Yep. So those are your college football scores from last week. Before we start previewing this week, we're going to talk about a little something different. We're at the halfway point. Most teams have played 6 games here. So halfway point in the season. Going to talk about our 3 most surprising teams and most disappointing teams. And I'll go first with our most disappointing teams. I'll start off with the Clemson Tigers. Clemson, of course, probably a lot of people's most disappointing team so far. The offense just hasn't been there. DJ Uyungale's kind of been it's just been rough to start off the year. Again, not all his fault, but only 793 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He's also been sacked 10 times. They've just been a tough team on offense. The leading receiver is Joseph Ngata with 333 yards, no touchdowns for him. Justin Ross has kind of been underwhelming this year. Rushing wise, Kobe Pace has been great, 218. Will Shipley looked great before he got hurt, 211 yards, rushing and 5 touchdowns. But this defense is what's going to hold this team together, and they're banged up a lot. They already have 2 losses. They do have a somewhat favorable schedule. Still have to go to Syracuse this weekend. They got to go to Pitt, and then they host Wake Forest and go to South Carolina. Those are their 4 toughest games left, I believe. But I think Clemson, they can finish off strong. They'll need some help to get to ACC championship game because they'll need NC State to lose twice. They'll need they'll need to beat Wake Forest. But all in all, I think they're starting to put it together, and we'll see after this bye week for sure against Syracuse. But they've just been kind of one of my most disappointing teams so far.
Yeah.
My second most disappointing team, I'm going to stick with the ACC for all of these. It's got to be Miami. We talked a lot earlier in the year about how we thought Miami with Garrett King back and healthy would look great. And they went out and they lost to Alabama. But we kind of shrugged it off because you're like, okay, it's Alabama. They'll lose that game. That's fine, whatever. And then they struggled with Appalachian State, 25-23 win. So you're like, okay, App State's a good Sun Belt team. That's App State's only loss this year, by the way.
Yeah.
But you think they play Michigan State. This is the big time game. And Michigan State, whose offense for the past few years has just been kind of there, puts 38 on them in Miami. 38-17 loss. And that's really when I knew they were done. They played Virginia and lose 30-28. Now Garrett King out for the season. So Tyler Van Dyke, the freshman, is going to be the quarterback now. They end up the year. They have to go to UNC. They have NC State, go to Pitt, and they host Virginia Tech. 2-3. It's going to be very hard for them to make a bowl game without the Eric King, because even with the Eric King, it was going to be hard to make a bowl game, I think, for them. This is just a disappointing year again for Miami. You know, everybody talks about, oh, the U is back, and the best they've done has been they got the 10-0 with Mark Richt, lost to Pitt, and then they got smacked by Clemson.
Yeah,
so just very disappointing for the Canes. And then North Carolina is my other disappointing team. Again, another ACC team. Again, we talked about them 3-3, struggling to get to a bowl game. Sam Howell's done a great job. He's looked great. He lost about everything. He lost all his help, it looks like, and there's no running game, doesn't have a defense, and man, you just can't do it by yourself if you're Sam Howell. And this Miami game is going to tell me a lot about one of these teams this weekend. And then North Carolina's going to go find another win besides Wofford, which may not be a guarantee too. You never know. So
just at the beginning of the year, thinking about that Miami North Carolina game, like we all talked about how that was going to be the game, and now this game literally means nothing.
Yep, we feel like that game's going to decide the Coastal. Both of those teams are sitting toward the bottom of the Coastal, just above Duke.
Yeah,
so that's rough.
It's not it, Chief.
Yeah. So Waffle, who are your 3 most disappointing teams so far through the first half of this college football
season? My 3 disappointing teams are similar. Like I had Clemson, I also had Miami. I didn't have North Carolina, but they definitely warrant it. But Clemson, just with just how bad the offenses looked, has just surprised everybody, and it's crazy. I'm excited to see them come off a bye week and see what they can do the rest of the season, because like they should be able to put things together and end up having a pretty respectable season, of course. But definitely been disappointed. Miami as well, just with all the hype coming in, and underrated take. Everybody loves to harp on Texas for Texas is back and horns down, which I fully believe. But Miami, theirs has been better and funnier, in my opinion, because Miami, we know the Miami of old is vastly different from the Miami now.
Yeah.
And Miami has not been a powerhouse and respectable program since they lost that championship game to Ohio State in 2002. Now, I will die on the hill that game is BS, and Miami won that national title, because that's a horrible call in the end zone. But anyway, it's still the same. Miami is it's everybody, like you said, Miami's going to be back this year. No, they're not. They are not. Stop talking about it until it actually happens. Stop talking about it. Everybody stop. Because Miami sucks, and they have been very disappointed. And now losing Derek King, they lost everything there. So, but my third one, I want to point out another one in the Big Ten who has been disappointing to me. They were preseason ranked number 12, and I'm talking about Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin, now the schedule has been tough. They're sitting at 2-3. And they played Penn State in week 1, who Penn State, obviously we've seen has been good. And they lost by 6 to Penn State. So, okay, respect. Beat Eastern Michigan. Then they lay an egg against Notre Dame off a bye week. They come out and give.
And that was a game in the fourth quarter that they were in, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. And they end up just losing it, laying an egg in late, give up 41 points, get trounced on their home field. And then they play Michigan and they get trounced by double digits again. So, and they beat Illinois 24-0. They're winning the games they're supposed to win. But these other games, like being ranked preseason number 12, I feel like the expectations were a lot higher, and they definitely expected to probably be sitting more likely at a 4-1, if not 5-0 at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Wisconsin has been disappointing to me as well, because it's like they're in games and they can't finish. They can't get over the hump to finish these games. So Wisconsin's my third.
Yeah, the good news for Wisconsin, the schedule does get a little bit easier in the back half. You still got to play Iowa. You still got to play Nebraska. But back half is winnable, and I think get to a respectable 7-5, 8-4 possibly if you can win some of these games.
Sneaky game this week against Army at 8:00 on Big Ten Network, and like I said, play Iowa at home. They go to Rutgers as well.
Yeah,
they do get Nebraska at home.
They got to go to Minnesota in the year too, and Minnesota hasn't been great this year, but that's always a big time rivalry between those two teams.
Yeah.
That's Wisconsin again scheduled didn't help, and now of course Jalen Berger has been dismissed from the football program, and he led the team in rushing last year.
Yeah.
So that's a tough blow for the Badgers. They still have Ches Malusi, who has done fantastic since transferring up there from Clemson. So we're going to talk about three most surprising teams who kind of shocked us. That we thought, oh, they might be pretty good, but not this good. I'll talk about my three. One, I'm going to say Michigan State because I don't think anybody expected them to get an offense.
Yeah.
Michigan State kind of just was one of those classic Big Ten teams where they're going to pound the ball at you. They haven't had a good quarterback since Connor Cook, it felt like. Peyton Thorne comes in, and he's looked really good for them.
Yeah.
6-0. Walker, the running back, is doing, things that Michigan State running backs usually do. They run very well. Naylor is a good wide receiver. So, yeah, this is a pretty good Spartans team. Again, they have to end the year with Penn State and Ohio State. So we'll see what they're made of there. But, I think Michigan State is a good team, and we'll see how they can finish off the year. Second, I'll say Arkansas. I think last year is when we started to realize Arkansas might be ahead of schedule. And, last year, again, COVID year, we're close to winning some games they shouldn't have. They won some games they shouldn't have. They're close to winning some games that they just fell apart against. I remember the Auburn game from last year they should have won where Bo Nix throws the ball behind him, but they don't call it.
That's still crazy.
Yeah. But, this year they go off and they beat the tar out of Texas, beat Texas A&M pretty good. Again, laid an egg against UGA and then a tough loss to the Ole Miss. But, man, if they can finish out the season strong, I know it's difficult, but they have winnable games. They have Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Mississippi State, Auburn, Missouri, and LSU. They just have Alabama left. There's really one I'd sit there and say they're probably not going to win.
Yeah.
9-3 in Sam Pittman's second year, his first full year.
Yeah, that's way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that's way ahead because Arkansas was bad before he got there. And he's a guy everybody jokes about like coaches fitting the culture, as being a thing. This guy fits the culture for Arkansas.
Oh yeah,
and he's really good, and he has just brought life back into that. It was, I think, when they played Texas A&M, that was the first sellout they'd had in like 4 or 5 years at Arkansas. Just big time for them, big time for the Razorbacks. I've always kind of been a fan of them ever since that three-headed monster of a running back core they had with Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis, and the best one,
Darren McFadden.
Darren McFadden, yeah. Just been a fan of them since then. Glad to see them back on national relevance again. Probably not going to win the West this year. Probably not going to win the SEC this year. But man, just to be at this point, to probably finish up, you can finish up 9-3, maybe sneak your way into like an Outback Bowl or something. It's pretty good. And finally, I'll stay in the SEC. I think Tennessee, because Josh Heupel. When they hired Josh Heupel, I was like, I don't know how this offense is going to work at Tennessee, because Tennessee for years has been pound the ball, throw some short slants out there, see what happens. And they misuse the running backs a lot. See Alvin Kamara when he was at Tennessee getting like hardly any carries. Yeah. But man, it was like, okay, we'll see how it works. And they scored 34 against Pitt. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're starting to get it going. But then they had 14 points against Florida. I'm like, okay, this offense isn't working yet. Last 2 weeks, again, Missouri and South Carolina, probably not the greatest teams in the SEC, but still 62 points and 45 points against the SEC team. That's really good.
Yeah, that's nothing to sniff at. Carolina's defense, for the most part, I think has been good, better than what we expected. So, I mean, they've been great.
Now, they're going to get tested these next 4 weeks. They got Ole Miss, at Alabama, at Kentucky, and Georgia in the next 4 weeks. But, man, if they can win, they go 2-2 in that stretch.
Yeah, if they can pull off 2 wins, that's a success. No doubt. That's actually more than a success. I think winning 1 game is a success.
Yeah. And so Josh Heupel, year 1, people around here starting to believe the Heupel. That's a horrible point. I apologize for nothing.
Wow. I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm done. All right.
But Tennessee, I think they're ahead of schedule too. I don't think they're quite as where Arkansas is ahead of schedule, but they can pull off some of these upsets maybe over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about the Vols a little bit. And I think Neyland Stadium next week might have their first time they're going to reach 100,000 capacity in like 4 years in this Ole Miss game this weekend, so people are excited around here about the Vols for the first time in a long time.
It's gonna be two high-flying offenses. So
yeah, that'll be a crazy week this weekend.
We'll see which defense steps up. But
yeah, Waffle, who are your top three most surprising teams this year?
So my top three, Arkansas was one of them. We talked about them. Arkansas way ahead of schedule. It's crazy what Pittman has done there. I also want to throw out two that I'm not going to talk in depth about, just two extras. Kentucky has been amazing. Kentucky undefeated on the season, now setting up a massive game coming up against Georgia. But and Iowa as well. Iowa has looked fantastic. They are deserving of the number 2 ranking, especially behind that defense. But my other two, Cincinnati, I just want to talk about them for a minute, just because it is surprising. Like I think a lot of people knew they were going to be good and they were going to be front runners in the American Athletic, but coming out and getting wins, like they handled Indiana, who's not too good this year, but they taking down the Power Fives when they need to, handling Indiana and then handling Notre Dame. I mean, playing great against Notre Dame. And now the schedule is, I mean, pretty much it's not a cakewalk, but it's they should have no problem winning all those games, and they should at least be favored, until the SMU game. But Cincinnati surprised me. They've looked great, so more power to them. And then Wake Forest. I mean, join the D quarter, baby. I mean, Wake Forest has looked fantastic. This is the year, this is the year to be good in the ACC, because you can capitalize on Clemson having a down year already with 2 losses. So, but there's still plenty of possibility that Clemson can win the ACC, or Wake Forest will not win their side of the ACC. But Wake Forest coming now 6-0, got some huge games coming up after these next 2 weeks. So, great to see Wake Forest playing good, and I'm all in on the D quarter, man. I'm excited.
That's right. We are all in on the Deeks, and we hope to see them hopefully in Charlotte later on this year. It's going to be interesting to see how they do down the stretch, how all these teams do down the stretch. And maybe we'll be talking a few more weeks about who kind of maybe folded under the pressure, or we'll talk about who turned it around over these next few weeks. So we're going to go ahead and move to the preview for week 7. And we're recording this on Monday, October 11th. Early game that for Clemson and Syracuse, playing on a Friday. And if you're a Clemson fan, you hate that. You hate that so much. Because of the last time Clemson went to play Syracuse on a Friday, that was the game where Kelly Bryant was the quarterback. He got hurt. They had to throw in, Zarek Cooper. In that one, he just couldn't do really a whole lot. And Syracuse held on to knock off Clemson in the Carrier Dome a couple years ago. But this time, a little bit different. Both of these offenses really haven't gotten going. Syracuse got going last week against Wake Forest. Syracuse 3-3, 0-2 in the ACC. They also have a close win over Liberty, who does have a very good quarterback in Malik Willis, but still, that's not a team you're supposed to be playing close games in, I believe.
Right.
Both of these defenses are still pretty decent. Syracuse is allowing less passing yards, allowing more rushing yards. They allow a ton of rushing yards against Wake Forest, so we'll have to see if Clemson can take advantage of that. I said Clemson's coming off the bye week. They need to make sure everybody's rested, ready to go. Skalski's ready to go, which is huge for Clemson. I've heard of a lot of the defensive players that got banged up against Boston College are good to go, which is great to hear. Of course, no Brian Brissy for the rest of the year for Clemson, but we'll see what the Tigers can do. Offensively, maybe they worked on something that they can get going. They can get something going, but man, Garrett Schrader looked good against Wake Forest. Now, again, this defense is not as good in Wake Forest as at Clemson, I don't think. They don't have the same kind of athletes. But if you can contain him, make him throw it more, because he's throwing-wise has been kind of average, 627 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. You can make him throw it, maybe get some mistakes. Get rid of Tucker, their running back, who has 791 yards and 9 touchdowns this year. Make them kind of one-dimensional. Make them one-dimensional when they can't move the ball. I think Clemson can win this one. Clemson's favored to win by 14.5, I believe. So, by 14, excuse me. I think Clemson should handle business up in the Carrier Dome. Clemson always travels well to the Carrier Dome, too. I went up there a few years ago, the first time they played in the conference. Of course, that was a wildly different team. That was Clemson when they had Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins, and they were rolled 49-7 on Syracuse that year. But, I think Clemson, should handle business. Syracuse always plays Clemson tough. They have at least the past 5 years. So, it's probably going to be close early. And I think Clemson should pull away. Because if not, Clemson's going to be sitting at 3-3 and 2-2 in the ACC, which is wild to imagine.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think, also got to get Ngata and Ross going. They got to get open, and you got to get this passing game going for DJ, and you got to help them out by catching some of these passes too.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in the last episode. So get something going, get DJ some more confidence, especially as you head to the back part of the stretch, because they got to go back up north the next week to take on Pitt, which will be a very, very tough game. And so, that concludes it for Clemson. It's Friday night at 7 on ESPN. And Waffle will talk about your game briefly. And you hope there's not a whole lot to talk about after this one, because it's South Carolina taking on Vanderbilt. That game's at 4:00 p.m. on the SEC network. South Carolina's picked to win by 18.5. I believe that's the largest South Carolina's been favored to win by in a game this year.
Yes.
We talked about Vanderbilt has not scored a single point in SEC competition. And with South Carolina's defense, they could be held to no points again. But what's South Carolina got to do to make sure that they don't get upset by the Commodores?
Well, this should be a good game to establish a freaking running game. I mean, good God. Mm-hmm. I've talked about it. I've tried to speak it into existence. I still think we have it's a very good backfield, and it's just not showing because we can't block. This should be a better game for us to be able to establish a run game and let Doty kind of do his thing, get some of these wide receivers involved. And then on defense, you just got to keep doing your thing. You got to keep forcing turnovers. South Carolina is one of the best teams in the country at forcing turnovers. Force Vanderbilt out of drives, get the ball back in the offense's hands, and it should be a good day. The biggest task is going to be stopping, I guess, Seals, the quarterback for Vanderbilt. He's slugging around for 1,000 yards this season, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So, I mean, obviously he's prone to throw a pick here and there. So should be another good day for Jalen Foster. But the message is simple. South Carolina, just go out there and play and do the fundamentals well. Start small, run the ball to set up the passing game, and force turnovers on defense. That's all I really got to say. So, interesting stat for you. South Carolina's points per game this year is 22. South Carolina's points allowed per game is exactly 22. So, I guess it's correct that we're 3-3. We're right in the middle.
I guess perfectly even.
Yeah. So the message,
even the yards and yards allowed is pretty close. They've had 335 yards a game and allowed 330 yards a game. So.
Yeah, South Carolina, just win, please. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Vandy's allowing just over 200 yards rushing a game right now, so South Carolina should be able to get the ball rolling with that monster backfield for them. So, should be a win for South Carolina in Williams-Brice, first conference win for Shane Beamer this weekend. Let's look around briefly at the rest of the week, the rest of these games. Another good game on Friday night. San Diego State takes on San Jose State. San Jose State, of course, is the defending Mountain West champion. San Diego State was at 5-0. San Jose State also has Nick Starkel as their quarterback, if you'll remember him from Arkansas. That should be an interesting one. That's on CBS Sports Network on Friday. With the Saturday, UCF and Cincinnati. Cincinnati now the favorites for the American. Everybody wants them in the playoff. When UCF went undefeated, nobody wanted them in the playoff.
Right.
UCF not looking as good. Of course, they had that heartbreaking loss to Louisville, and they had the upset. Navy knocked them off. Cincinnati expected to win this game by 21 points.
Yeah,
which is surprising. If you just remember UCF the past few years, of course, UCF's quarterback is, I think, out for the year with an injury. So, Cincinnati again need to handle business, because if they lose to UCF, we're never going to hear the end of it on Twitter.
No,
the UCF fans will come flying back out of the woodwork again.
Yeah,
and then of course that's another G5 team. Just no chance at the playoff. So, handle your business, Cincy. Michigan State goes to Indiana. Indiana hasn't looked great, of course. They're 2-3, but Michigan State only picked to win this one by 4.5. But we'll see if they can blow that one wide open, and if they can continue to roll on what we think could be a path to a big time showdown with Ohio State later in the year. Oklahoma State and Texas. Now, a team that's been sleepwalking this year, that's Oklahoma State too.
Yes,
because they have looked bad, but they have won all their games.
Yeah.
So it's been working. And after Texas, they play Iowa State, and then they really don't have a whole lot. I think they go to West Virginia too, which is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
and then they host Oklahoma. But man, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma could be undefeated and be the two most underwhelming undefeated teams to play each other in the regular season because neither of those teams look great.
Oklahoma State's scores are weird for this season. Missouri State, they won 23-16. Tulsa, they won 28-23. Boise State, they won 21-20. Kansas State, who once again do not know if they're good or not, 31-20. Baylor, still unsure if they're good or not, 24-14. Every game's a close game, no matter who they play. So we'll see if they can keep that trend going against Texas, or if they run the risk of getting blown out of the water.
Yeah, this is an interesting Cowboy team for sure. That's just they've been quietly doing this, but also it's kind of one of those you look at the scores like, okay, I don't know if they're good or not.
Yeah, and if Texas comes out to as hot of a start as they had last week against Oklahoma, this Oklahoma State offense is not that Oklahoma offense. They're scoring 25 points per game, and they're allowing 18 on defense, whereas Texas is scoring 44 a game. And Texas averages almost 500 yards of offense. Oklahoma State only 378. So not the quintessential Big 12 trope, especially for an undefeated team. So I think Oklahoma State runs the risk of getting run out of Austin, Texas.
Texas picked to win this game by 5.5 points as well, and they're ranked way lower than Oklahoma State. Yeah. Auburn and Arkansas play each other. Arkansas, see if they can recover. Don't know which Bo Nix we're going to get this week.
This sounds like a game where Bo Nix will have a career day and they'll beat Arkansas.
Yeah, Bo Nix will have a great day. KJ Jefferson will probably have a great day. We'll probably learn nothing about either of these two teams. It's going to be a wild game. That one's at noon. The rare doubleheader on CBS again, this time noon and 3:30. And it's Auburn, Arkansas. Arkansas picked to win by 3.5. That should be a wild one. The over-under is 53. And I feel like they're going to break that one. So, yeah. Easy. LSU and Florida. All right. Ed Orgeron probably playing for his job.
Yeah.
This week. Florida's picked to win by 10. The over-under is 59. And if LSU gets blown out in this one, Ed Orgeron's probably going to be gone by about 8 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure.
Because LSU's got to pull off something to keep the job. Meanwhile, Florida 4-2 and 2-2 in the SEC. They can't lose a whole lot more games because they're already 2 down on Georgia. Yeah, for that East and Kentucky. So see what happens there. Just want to mention Texas A&M and Missouri. Texas A&M don't have the letdown game.
Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. You got the fan base back. Everybody in the nation was pulling for you Saturday night. Don't let me turn the TV at 3:15 and see y'all in a dogfight with Missouri.
Yeah, they go to Fairot Field. Texas A&M picked the win by 8.5. Again, I feel like that means absolutely nothing in this one. Yeah. Because Connor Baszler could decide, I'm going to have a good game this week too. He's a weird quarterback too.
Yeah,
in the SEC. So we'll see what happens with the Aggies and the Tigers this weekend. This one, of course, at noon. We mentioned it, Yale and UConn, CBS Sports Network. Do it, Yale. Please do it.
Please, God.
Please win. Just please.
If there's two things I want this season, it's Wake Forest in the playoff and UConn to go 0-12 and disband the football program.
Yeah, UConn, just do it to him, Yale, please. Please. It would be hilarious. 3:30, this is the college game day game. Kentucky and Georgia. Two teams are 6-0. Georgia picked to win this one by 23.5. I did not know that was a lie. Oh my God. We're going to see what Kentucky can do because Kentucky's offense is one of those that takes a while to go. They're kind of slow at running it, and you can't do that against Georgia.
No, this just seems like a game where Kentucky, whose offense has been potent and very good, I feel like Kentucky struggles to score 14.
Yeah, same thing that happened to Arkansas.
I'm praying for a competitive game, but I can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, or this could be the Georgia letdown loss, dude. Who knows what could happen?
It could be. This game is for the East. I mean, now.
Yeah, now.
Florida's still in there, but this is the battle for the East right here.
You probably hear that fire truck coming by.
Yes, I do.
No, we got a situation going on in Jefferson City. That's cool. Purdue and Iowa play each other this weekend. Just want to briefly mention that one. Iowa's picked to win by 11.5. This one was a lot more interesting looking last week, but then both these teams lost. But BYU and Baylor play each other in Waco, Texas. Baylor's picked to win by 6 points. This could be a fun one, I feel like, with a lot of points scored.
Yeah.
As Baylor's just been kind of quiet this year. They were quietly with 5-0, lost to Oklahoma State. See if they can get back to the winning ways and see if BYU can get back on track.
Yeah.
Falling to Boise in a tough one. Pitt and Virginia Tech. Pitt had the week off last week. This is how Pitt gets in the driver's seat for the Coastal. Both these teams first in the Coastal right now. And Kenny Pickett has looked really good this year. He has 19 touchdown passes this year so far. It's for over 1,000 yards. This is the game I think Pitt needs to win to kind of prove themselves, because next week they got Clemson. Yeah. And they're definitely going to be on the national spotlight for that one. And then your night games, Alabama, that's at Mississippi State. Now, Alabama needs to avoid having a letdown and losing 2 straight, which they shouldn't have a problem, Mississippi State. But with that offense, Mississippi State runs, Will Rogers is going to sling the ball all around. Maybe kind of like those Ole Miss Alabama meetings where Ole Miss scores like 28 points, but Alabama scores like 56. So
no shot here. Alabama wins by 3 touchdowns or more, no doubt. Book it.
TCU plays Oklahoma. That's the primetime game on ABC. TCU is a quiet 3-2. I don't know if they're any good or not. I have a good running back.
Yeah.
That can run it in Zach Evans, but
I'll be interested to see who starts for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think that's what I was interested in, seeing what happens, because they're back at home after that loss to Texas. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think this is going to be another shootout. So Oklahoma's favored by 11.5, over under 65.5. I'm going to hammer the over on this one. Yeah. I think this could be points galore.
This next game, I have never seen this over before printed, and I am in shock. Ole Miss and Tennessee. Ole Miss picked the win by 3. The over under is 80.
Oh my gosh.
80. Tennessee and Ole Miss. I want Manning cast for this. I don't know how we get it or not.
Please. Yeah, I know. Please.
That game's going to be wild. Like I said, Neyland Stadium is going to be sold out. Neyland Stadium is going to be the checkerboard in the stands, by the way, too. They've announced that today. It's going to be basically sold out. Big time rivalry game. 80 points, man. They could break the scoreboard in Neyland.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this could very well. This could be 52-49 like that.
Yeah, that's going to be wild to see Matt Corral and Hendon Hooker go at it. It's going to be insane. And then your night ACC network game is a good one. Those are always pretty good. We feel like NC State and Boston College.
Yeah.
NC State
dogfight.
First in the Atlantic right now. Boston College coming off the loss to Clemson. NC State expect to win by 3 points, but I wouldn't count Boston College out in this one for sure. This could be a fun one. I think it's going to be just a big time, just bully ball at times between these two teams. That's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. See who can take control of the ACC Atlantic as Clemson sits there, just at 1-1 as well. And then finally, this one, I just want to mention this one because it could be interesting. Army and Wisconsin. Army's 4-1. Wisconsin, we told you, has struggled, and Army makes teams forget how to play football sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they run the old school wing T option. We're going to take our time. We're going to chop block you, and you better be on your assignment or else we're going to roll right by you. Because y'all remember a few years ago they played Oklahoma, almost won, and I think Army had 4 possessions the entire game.
Yeah.
And they only lost 28-21 at OT. They almost beat Michigan a few years ago too, so they've done against the Big Ten. So Wisconsin's got to be ready. And the way Wisconsin plays, though, does favor them because they also run the clock with their way they run the ball. But
right, yeah. This game might finish in 2.5 hours.
I know. Over-under is only 40.5, so it's going to be a quick. It's going to be not a quick game, but it's going to be a lot of long drives and a lot of just slow plodding down the field. It looks like.
Yeah.
But that could be a fun one. That's on the Big Ten Network at 8:00. So that's really your big time games this weekend. A lot more, of course, and hopefully, we have another fun and just wild weekend of football for the college ranks. And we'll move on to the NFL. And I'm going to start off with you, Waffle, because you said after the South Carolina game, if the Titans did not beat the Jags, you would probably be rest in peace. I was going to give you the microphone for about 9 hours on this podcast. But unfortunately for the listeners, for you, for your help, the Titans, again, Jaguars make it a bit close early. Titans end up pulling away 37-19 victory over the Jags in Jacksonville to get the 3-2 over the Jags, 3-2 on the season. And of course, Derrick Henry with 3 touchdowns. So, Walt, what'd you see from the Titans this week?
Well, I mean, it was good. Tennessee got off to a hot start. I mean, coming out and then Jacksonville throws a little ball in the flat. Tight end catches it, gets 2 feet down, turns around. Did he do a football move? I don't really know.
I don't think
they
so.
called it on the field a fumble. Titans, Kevin Byard picked it up. He ran it in for a touchdown. So fantastic start for the Titans. And that kind of started a string of, that's one of 2 iffy calls for the Jaguars. That one I don't think is as bad as the one I'm going to talk about later. But so the Jaguars didn't get any help from the refs, which refs or whatever. I've had so many issues with refs. It's so refreshing for the refs to be on my side for it, which is great. But all right, so Titans, Derrick Henry, 29 carries, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. Just continuing a monster season from a monster running back. Derrick Henry leading the league in rushing yards. Once again, he's got over 600 on pace for 2,100 yards, on pace for the most ever. Now, there is an extra game this year than in years past, but on pace for 2,100 yards and on pace for, I think, 24 touchdowns, which the NFL record is 28 by LT. But yeah, you can't say enough about Derrick Henry. He's just getting it done. And yes, they give him the ball a lot. Would you not? I mean, come on.
Oh, absolutely.
Ryan Tannehill, 14-22, 197 yards, a touchdown. Just game manager Ryan Tannehill. No mistakes, no interceptions. Only got sacked 3 times, which he's still been sacked the most times of any quarterback in the NFL this year. But it's an improvement, so I'll take it. But Titans, coming out starting early, getting that touchdown. And then Jaguars right down the field, 5 plays, 75 yards, 2 minutes, 39 seconds. And they missed the extra point, thank God. Yeah. Once again, it's refreshing to see other teams with kicking struggles. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, we will. We will.
Yeah, finally. And Titans get the ball. They punt. Jags punt. Titans 11 plays, 79 yards, score a touchdown. 1 yard Derrick Henry run to start the second quarter. And Jaguars answer right back. I mean, they were right there, and they matched us as soon as we scored. They scored. So 14-13 after they score, then we run it back down there, 75 yards, touchdown. Jaguars go down the field, miss a field goal. Once again, kicker struggles that are not involved in the Titans. Love it. Jaguars go in there, kick a field goal. The Jaguars have not made a field goal all season. That's a wild stat.
Jeez.
And this one was a long one. It's like 53 yards, and it looked like it was going to be good, but then it ended up being short, and it bounced off the crossbar and it went back into the field. So, and then Titans get it, go down, get held to a freaking field goal, because of course we do. 24-13, Jaguars get it, do nothing. So that's the end of the first half. 24-13, Titans get the ball back, go right down the field, 31-13. Now here we are. This is good. This is what we like to see. Jaguars punt, we punt, and then the Jags go 10 plays, 80 yards, score a touchdown to make it a 31-19 game. They go for 2, do not get it. We punt, and then here's where I get pissed off and things start to look bad.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they go all the way down the field. Trevor Lawrence passes deep to the left for Agnew. It's intercepted by Janoris Jenkins. Great touchback, interception in the end zone. Wrong. Penalty on Titans. Caleb Farley, defensive holding. Caleb Farley is the draft pick that we picked up in the first round this past year, who is now starting to play, which I'm happy he's starting to play. But young mistake there. All right, so now we are 1st and 5 at the Tennessee 5. So 1st and goal. Trevor Lawrence incomplete to Laviska Shenault. 2nd and goal at Tennessee 5. Trevor Lawrence pass incomplete to Marvin Jones. And let me ask this question: why James Robinson has had a fantastic day on the ground to this point? Why are they not running the ball? Yeah. But Trevor Lawrence, 3rd and goal. Trevor Lawrence goes up the middle for 5 yards, touchdown. Then they review it and they reverse it and call him down at the 1 yard line. And I'm a man enough to admit this. That's an awful call. He scored.
Yeah. I thought what he did.
Absolutely scored a touchdown.
And the way the broadcast talk about it looked like he fumbled and picked it up in the end zone.
Yes. That, or even without that, like I think that, and it's tough with the angles of the shadows.
Yeah.
Because as I was watching it, if you watch it from like the pylon cam, like from the sideline, it looks like his knees are down, but they're not. When you look at the end zone camera and you can see that his knees never touch the ground until that ball is touching the white line of the goal line. And we all know to score a touchdown, that ball just has to literally touch that much. Like it doesn't have to touch any more than that.
And they called in the field a touchdown, so I was very surprised they ever returned it.
Right. And they came in and overturned it, which was wild. And then they tried to run on 4th and goal. They run Carlos Hyde. They don't even run James Robinson.
Yeah.
They run Carlos Hyde and freaking, Tier Tart, nose tackle for the Titans, just freaking blows this thing up. Yeah. Titans get the ball back. And I mean, and that's at that point, that's pretty much all she wrote.
Yeah.
Titans punted. Jaguars went on downs again, and Titans got a late game touchdown. Derrick Henry, 37-19. And then Trevor Lawrence threw an interception late in garbage time. So, a good game from the Titans. I thought that Derrick Henry was good. Derrick Henry was great. Ryan Tannehill did his thing. The return of A.J. Brown, 3 receptions, 38 yards, whatever. He still might be nursing a little bit of stuff. We didn't really need him this week. We definitely need him next week, which we'll talk about as well. Yeah. Marcus Johnson coming off the IR for the Titans. He was the best receiver we had on Sunday, 3 receptions for 52 yards. So not a whole lot going on in the pass game. Michael Pruitt did catch one ball for 14 yards and a touchdown. But the unsung hero finally getting back to his ways, Kevin Byard. What an unreal day for him at the safety position with 10 total tackles, 8 solo tackles, 2 passes deflected. He had the touchdown on defense. And he also made a couple of touchdown-saving tackles, one of them being that Trevor Lawrence scramble for a touchdown. Kevin Byard made the hit that slowed him down and, ultimately cost the Jaguars a touchdown there, whether you want to believe it or not. But, for the Jaguars too, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, 23 of 33, 273 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Like Trevor Lawrence had a really good day.
He's trying. He is trying his hardest, and he's
making the best of it. So, and James Robinson, 18 carries, 149 yards and a touchdown. Unreal on the ground. Trevor Lawrence scrambled 7 times as well and had a rushing touchdown. But
Urban Meyer once again showing how inept he is at his job. Yeah. They asked him about James Robinson's carries in the second half because remember he was doing great for the Jags in the first half. Yeah. Kept them in the game, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't notice it." How did you not notice that your best rusher did not get the ball in the second half?
Dumb.
And then later on that 4th and 1, after the overturn. They talk about why didn't Trevor Lawrence go in their center and just dive forward. Because Trevor Lawrence, big quarterback, of course. We've talked about how he did at Clemson, all this stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I didn't think he was confident enough to do that."
Yeah. Okay. Why would you not do that? Why would you?
But then literally, Trevor Lawrence comes in right after him and says, "Oh, I have the confidence to do it. We just didn't call it." So now your first round pick has just thrown you under the bus.
Right.
So Urban.
It hadn't been a good week for you, baby, and it's not gonna get any better.
So. Oh no, it's not. I don't know who the Jags beat. The Jags play the Lions at some point. They might beat them, but
I don't know. But also Laviska Shenault, the Jaguars talked about using him more. He had 1 reception. Now his 1 reception was for 58 yards. Yeah. But he only had 3 targets. They did not try to use him at all. Instead, they're using Tavon Austin, who, good God, how old is he now? It seems like he's He's only 31. That does not seem right. He seems like he's 55.
I feel like he was playing back in the old SD days of TV for West Virginia.
But a good game for the Titans. So I'm happy to get out of Jacksonville with a win, a much needed win, a loss that we could definitely not take. But so definitely a good day for that.
Yeah, that's a good day for the Titans, especially when you beat a division rival like that. It kind of puts you back in the driver's seat for that AFC South, which you need to start trying to pull away from, of course, as the AFC South hasn't looked great this year other than the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Then, of course, big game for the Buffalo Bills. I am very tired, if you can't tell. We're recording this on Monday, October 11th. I watched this game and then I had to wake up early for work, and I was at work a lot longer than I thought I was going to be at. Just get stuff done. And I think I took like a power nap before we came on to record this. So I'm very tired because the Bills knock off the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football 38-20. Wild game, just absolute dominance, I will say, by the Bills in this one. And it started off not looking like that. It starts off with the Chiefs have a great drive, 17 plays, 56 yards, but they get held to a field goal. And that's the first win. You gotta be able to slow them down. Next drive, the rushing game gets going. I've told you all year, the rushing game needs to get going, and they need to rush with Josh Allen. He runs in for a touchdown, untouched into the end zone, 7-3. And then the next play is a fumble on the kickoff. Bills have it in plus territory. I'm like, great, this is awesome. Yeah, they move backwards negative 14 yards because of the intentional grounding call by Josh Allen. Still does mistakes, but that was the only mistake he really did Sunday night. Next play, next drive, 80-yard drive, touchdown, Kansas City. And that's why I'm thinking, here we go. This is what happened last year.
Yeah.
Twice against them. But no, Bills answered and took them just 2 minutes to get down the field 75 yards after a pass from Josh Allen to Emmanuel Sanders, who has been such a clutch pickup in the offseason, man. He has been so clutch, and it's just great to have him and just getting him involved. Then they force a punt, then a field goal by Tyler Bass. Then they force a turnover on downs, which was huge. And then 2 plays later, Dawson Knox, who is quietly become one of the most top tight ends in the NFL, 53-yard pass from Josh Allen. This is a laser beam of a pass. Makes it 24-10, and it goes to that 24-13. I'm excited. And I'm like, okay, this is great. But I remember last year again, the AFC Championship game, the Bills were up 10-0 and blew the lead and lost. So I'm watching on my laptop, and I'm like, I'm going to watch something else for a bit. I think I watched American Dad or something, kind of calm myself down. I had the game up on another browser and muted. And I kind of look over there and I go, they've been in studio for a while, haven't they? See on the bottom right of the corner in tiny letters, lightning delay. Okay. And then I get on Twitter and shout out to Maddie Glab. She's a Bills reporter. She was there and she goes, oh, best case scenario says 11:15 will be starting the second half. And I'm like, I have to be at work at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm like, you know what? We're going to stick it out. We got to see what happens here. And punt, nothing really happening. Then Micah Hyde steps right in front of the receiver, spin move, takes it 26 yards. It's 31-13. I'm going crazy. I'm trying to stay quiet because I don't want to wake my roommates up. I'm also going crazy. The next drive. Oh boy, it's 4th and 3 at the Kansas City 32. Mahomes throws a pass incomplete to McCole Hardman. That should be turnover on downs. Roughing the passer on Ed Oliver. They showed the replay. Ed Oliver does go low. I will say that. Patrick Mahomes still has the ball in his hands. I don't understand how you can have roughing the passer if the quarterback still has their ball in the hands.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Horrible call. And the Chiefs started to get some momentum because they're moving the ball along. They're in the red zone again. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. This is how they come back in this one. It's still the third quarter. There's plenty of time left. And then Greg Rousseau, the first round draft pick who played wide receiver in high school, which would be terrifying to see after watching this highlight. They showed this highlights on the broadcast. Picks off Patrick Mahomes, stops him. Bills don't do anything with it, however. They have to punt, and then eventually the Chiefs score a touchdown to start the fourth quarter. 31-20. I'm like, okay, just run some clock. Run some clock in this game. Now, I will say this. It's 3rd and 17. Bills are at their own 8-yard line. Josh Allen throws a ball towards Stephon Diggs. It's picked off, but another roughing the passer call. This one was worse than the Patrick Mahomes one, I thought. And it came after a penalty on Mitch Morse, the offensive lineman, who had holding, and that was not holding at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the referees were looking. I don't know if that was a makeup call because of the non-holding, or makeup call because they're roughing the passer, or if the refs were just having a bad game. But it bailed out the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
But now here's the thing. The Bills responded well to their roughing the passer call that I thought was garbage. The Chiefs did not. And Josh Allen, first of all, for the love of God, I do never want you to do this ever again, but it was awesome. Hurdles a defender on 3rd and 4 to keep the drive alive.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrifying, but also seeing Josh Allen jump over things is hilarious. It's the greatest meme the Bills have ever come up with.
Yeah.
They did one of him hurdling the Vikings defender his rookie year. They put him hurdling the Chiefs guy over him hurdling the Vikings defender. It's one of the funniest pictures I've seen in a while. And then the Bills in the drive, another 8-yard touchdown pass to Emmanuel Sanders, 38-20. Life is looking great, but in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking Chiefs can come back and score real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm watching, and then they get all the way to the red zone again to the Chiefs. There's not a whole lot of time left, about 3.5 minutes left, but only down 18. Mahomes fumbles it. My boy, Trey White of the Trey White Goalie Academy, undefeated, picks it up. Trey White had a rough day. He had to go one-on-one with Tyreek Hill. He had a rough day all day. Comes up clutch, picks up the fumble. Bills in the game, 38-20. This is the biggest win I think I've seen as a Bills fan. Because, you have 2 heartbreaking losses last year to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
One which determined, where the AFC Championship game would have been played. The other one was the AFC Championship game. And they just, they bend and didn't break the defense for the Bills, and it eventually worked for them. They decided, I think the first game last year, they decided to defend the run. Well, they got torched. Then they decided to defend the pass. They got gashed. This year, they didn't blitz Patrick Mahomes a single play this year. And they forced 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And so they made Patrick Mahomes look kind of pedestrian. I mean, 33 of 54, 272, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He got sacked twice, ran for 61 yards. Josh Allen, though, 15 of 26, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, ran 59 yards and a touchdown. They look great. Dawson Knox, 3 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs only had 2 catches, but he had him for 69 yards, including a 61-yard catch. The Chiefs are going to get yards. Cole Hardman at 76 yards, Tyreek Hill at 63 yards, Travis Kelce at 57 yards. But you got to stop them when it's clutch. That's what the Bills did. The Bills forced 2 fumbles and 2 picks, and that's why they were able to win this game. And it's a big-time win. And again, Bills should be 5-0, I think. I think we still have that weird game against Steelers week 1. Everybody gets a weird game. But, man, that's just to go into such a tough place to play and to hold Kansas City to 20 points is just wild. Big-time win for the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep them moving. And the Bills, I believe, are ranked to have the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL because, after this week, and we're going to talk about that one, after this week, they have one other great team. That's going to the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And because they get the Jets twice, they get the Jags, they get the Dolphins again, and they get the Patriots twice. And they also have the Colts and the Saints. Yeah, Panthers, I think, are their second best team on the schedule that they play or third best team besides this week's game against Titans and against the Buccaneers. So this could be a big time situation for the Bills to make a run, clinch that number 1 seed in the AFC if they can.
Mm-hmm.
But man, for right now, just celebrate this win and be happy because this is a big time win and worth it. Not getting a whole lot of sleep last night.
Yeah, for sure. A heck of a game by the Bills, and it's so crazy just that week 1 game against the Steelers. How well they have played since that week one game, and they've put it together, and they look like the best team in football, maybe besides the Arizona Cardinals right now. But definitely the best offense in football.
Yeah, they have the number one scoring offense and the number one scoring defense. I think they're outscoring teams. I believe it's now 38-12 or something like that, which is insane on average. So
yeah, Bill's playing good, man, and they got a real shot at coming out of this season, first season with 17 games on the schedule, coming out with the best record in the league at the end of the year. So we'll start Thursday night football. We get the Rams and the Seahawks. The Rams come away with a 26-17 win, as Matthew Stafford looks pretty pedestrian in the first half, but in the second half comes alive. 25-37, 365 yards, and a touchdown for him. The biggest takeaway from this game, Russell Wilson out for weeks on end with a ligament issue in his finger. So tough for them, tough for the Seahawks. They're sitting at 2-3. Now without Russell Wilson, having to rely on Geno Smith.
He almost let that comeback, though.
He did. A guy who's best known for getting punched by his own teammate. So, yeah. How about that? Yeah, Rams take that one. They're still looking great for their season outlook in that tough division, which is not looking so tough anymore. It's just kind of Cardinals and the Rams. But, your Rams getting a win there. Sunday, we moved to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in England.
This should be an act of war by the U.S. to England.
Yes, for the high caliber matchup. Like when you want to show off the NFL, you send your best teams over to England, and we sent the Jets and the Falcons to go play a trash fest over here. Jets coming away with a loss after a win, beating the Titans last week. They're now 1-4. Falcons get the win 27-20. Matt Ryan, they're putting on another good show, 33 of 45, 342, and 2 touchdowns for him.
Cordell Patterson playing to his potential too.
Cordell Patterson with leading rushing yards for the Falcons. And then, Kyle Pitts, 9 receptions, 119 yards and a touchdown. My fantasy team, thanks you, sir. And the Jets back to looking like trash. The only team in the NFL that can make them look good is the Titans. And we move on to the Packers and the Bengals. The Packers and the Bengals. This game was unfreaking believable.
This deserved to end in a tie. It deserved to end in a tie, and I hate Mason Crosby for being redeemed. Dang it.
Yes, Packers come away with the win, 25-22. But we'll take a little bit of extra time right here just to kind of lay this out for you. So let's fast forward into the first half. It is 16-14 in favor of the Packers. The Bengals get the ball. They run 3 plays. Joe Burrow throws an interception, which turns into a Green Bay field goal, which, as you'll see later, is rare. 19-14 is the score now. Bengals punt, get another field goal by the Packers. They can't capitalize as they go on long drives. That one was for 81 yards, and they settled for a field goal. And then Joe Burrow comes right down the field, 13 plays, 75 yards, 7 minutes and 53 seconds off the clock to tie this game up at 22 after the 2-point conversion is good. And here's where the fun starts, boys. The Packers, there is not a lot of time left in this game. There's about 3 minutes left or so, 3.5 minutes. Packers get the ball. They drive it down the field, and Mason Crosby tries a 36-yard field goal to take the lead late, and it is wide left. So now the Bengals got some life. Bengals have 2 minutes left, literally perfect 2-minute drill. They go down the field all the way down, and they line up for what ends up being a 57-yard field goal. So this is a hefty kick.
Yeah.
And it is missed by Evan McPherson. 57-yarder, no good, hits the right upright. So that's 2 missed field goals in a row. And now, you messed up. You left Aaron Rodgers any bit of time, especially near midfield.
Yeah, he has to do 20 yards to get in the decent range for Crosby.
All Aaron Rodgers needs is one pass. And who does he have on his team? Arguably one of the best receivers in the NFL, and Devontae Adams. And they hook up for 20 yards to the Cincinnati 33. Aaron Rodgers spikes the ball with 4 seconds left. Here it is. The Packers are going to escape. Mason Crosby has made a couple, missed a couple, lines up 51-yard field goal, and it is wide left. Once again, Cincinnati goes wild. We go to overtime. Cincinnati wins the toss, gets the ball. What do? Interception on the first play. The Packers are in prime position. Any kind of score wins the game. Packers run Aaron Jones a couple times. He loses 5 yards, which that's great. And Mason Crosby lines up 40-yard field goal. Any guesses as to what happens on this one? If you guess wide left, you are correct. We are still tied. The Bengals get the ball, 7 plays, 38 yards. They get into field goal range, a 49-yarder. Still a long field goal, but more manageable than a 57-yarder from Evan McPherson. What's the trend? Wide left. Evan McPherson
made it.
49-yarder. Very close. He hits the flag at the top of the upright, which is something I've never seen done before.
And now at this point, I'm sitting here going, please tie. Please tie. There's like 3 minutes left in this game. I'm like, please tie.
Yes.
Please. I want to see this in the tie and in this game.
Yeah. So now Green Bay's got the ball. 2 minutes left in the game. They line up Mason Crosby for a 49-yarder, and he finally drills it. The Packers escape. But what a wild overtime and final 3 minutes of regulation. Overtime and a final 3 minutes of regulation that saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missed field goals. One that won the game.
Yeah, during this entire time, by the way, Scott Hansen's going crazy on red zone because everything is happening at once at the 1 o'clock hour.
So much.
Which is wild. And especially this next game. Let's talk about Detroit. Just why does the universe hate the Detroit Lions?
I feel so bad. Like, if you're a Lions fan, I want to give you a hug because I feel like you need it.
They had this one. Alexander Madison fumbles the ball, trying to pick up extra yards at like on 20. Goff with a strike. They're up 17-16. And then Adam Thielen suddenly remembers how to play football. Gets 2 big passes. Greg Joseph, who missed the kick earlier in the year, nails it 54 yards. The Lions are 0-5.
Yeah. Former struggling Tennessee Titan, might I add. Greg Joseph nails the 54-yarder. So that's great.
Lions are 0-5, and they have lost on a 54-yard kick by Greg Joseph and a 66-yard nuke from Justin Tuck.
What a sad at this point, just go 0-17. Just do it. Lions.
Oh, guess what? They got the Bengals next week, and guess what? The Bengals can't make kicks either, so maybe the Bengals are going to nail an 80-yarder next week to beat them.
Right. We move on. Steelers, Broncos, a game between a Broncos team who looks like a pretender and a Steelers team who has one fluke win over the Buffalo Bills. Steelers win this one 27-19. Bridgewater for Denver, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns for him, a solid day. Najee Harris for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh finally decided, hey, we drafted this kid in the first round. How about we give him the ball? 23 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown for him. So a great day for him. Chase Claypool as well, 130 yards and a touchdown.
Big story for the Steelers, though, that Juju Smith-Schuster out for the season, separated his shoulder.
Yes.
Surgery. So, but he hasn't been much of a factor this year.
Right. So. Unfortunate for him. I hate it for him, but at the same time, like, what has he been doing? Not much.
And of course, Big Ben is limping around.
Still throwing a strike to Deontay Johnson, though. Is that going to be a weekly thing now?
He's going to get one great pass, and he's going to get just nailed by the next linebacker that comes up the middle every other play.
Yeah. Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosted the Miami Dolphins. Miami, why'd you even show up? 45-17. Tom Brady with it. Oh my gosh, just unreal. This guy is what, 42, 43?
Yeah.
30 of 41, 411 yards, 5 touchdowns. Unbelievable.
He's going to play those 55. I'm calling it. He will retire at 55. And he may not retire until he may not slow down to he's 50, to be honest with you.
And please explain this to me. Myles Gaskin is on one of my fantasy teams, and it's a fantasy league that there's no money on the line. So, I mean, I'm not really concerned about it, but I did not start him because I'm just like, Tampa Bay's run defense is unreal. Myles Gaskin already has played like crap all year, not starting him. Please explain to me why he turns into one of the better receivers in the league with 10 receptions for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
So stupid. Antonio Brown, 7 receptions, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. His career's weird.
Yeah. This is also they did this without Gronk too. Gronk is still out with an injury, so imagine if the Bucks get fully healthy.
Right. Definitely no signs of slowing down there. Saints Go to Washington. Take care of them. 33-22. Once again, Washington, disappointing. Where's this defense we heard all about in the offseason?
Hey, Jameis is back this week.
Yeah. Jameis with 4 touchdowns, 279 yards, only completing half of his passes. That is a great Jameis Winston game right there. Eagles and the Panthers. You let me down.
Blew this one.
You let me down. You're gonna lose to the Eagles.
15-3.
Come on, man.
They were 15-3 and blew it.
15-3, and you absolutely blew it to Jalen Hurts. The Panthers not great. Started 3-0. People were skeptical. Panthers fans over here are like, yeah, we're freaking awesome, man. We're 3-0. We're gonna win everything, and now you've lost 2 straight games, and you're.
This is the first bad game though for Sam Darnold, so that's gotta be good. But man, it was a bad game for Sam Darnold though toward the end.
Yeah, it was. Panthers disappointing at home. Eagles good win for them. It showed resolve in their young quarterback as well. So. Patriots Texans. Whoa, this game was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Davis Mills just decided to play great this week.
How about him? Davis Mills, rookie out of Stanford, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. As Houston does pretty much everything to win this game, but loses. And the Patriots win 25-22.
Damian Harris is back too. Apparently, he decided to show up again.
Yeah, Mac Jones, 231 yards and a touchdown and a pick for him as well. Hunter Henry, 6 receptions, 75 yards and a touchdown.
Thank you, fantasy.
Now that he is back and not hurt anymore, it looks like he's becoming a good addition. And here we go. Another team who looked really good at the beginning of the season and now it's turned into looks like a pretender. The Raiders hosted the Bears and got beat 20-9. Just not – you don't want to.
Bears really didn't do anything else to kind of win this one either. It's kind of they kind of got good possession on they get good defense and they were able to run the ball.
Justin Fields 111 yards and a touchdown. Andy Dalton threw 1 pass for 8 yards. Yay, Andy. And Chicago without Montgomery still was able to effectively run the ball well with 143 total rushing yards. Not a whole lot of stats for them. Jarrett Carr 206 yards and no touchdown. And a pick. I think Carr did get hurt late. Josh Jacobs, 15 carries, 48 yards and a touchdown. He's decent fantasy wise, but he doesn't run for gaudy yards.
He really doesn't.
He will punch it in the end zone given the opportunity. And teams are figuring out Darren Waller. They're not treating him like they did last year. Teams are doubling him and realizing how much of a threat he is. So he's got 4 receptions.
Hunter Renfro's starting to get open now too. That's 2 straight weeks he's gotten open. He has 56 yards. So I mean,
Hunter Renfro, that wide receiver core is young and nice. Hunter Renfro, Brian Edwards, both South Carolina guys from South Carolina. Yeah, both Horry County boys, and also Ruggs from Alabama. I mean, we know how good and fast he is, but Browns Chargers, what an unreal game and what a freaking slugfest in the fourth quarter between these two teams. There were 41 points scored in the fourth quarter between both of these teams, 26 for LA and 15 for Cleveland. Justin Herbert, unreal. Justin Herbert is emerging as one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Yes, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks for him. Fantastic day. Austin Eckler, just unreal running back as well. 66 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And Eckler did add 5 receptions for 53 yards and a receiving touchdown. He is an absolute monster. All 3 of his touchdowns coming in the fourth quarter as well in crunch time. Mike Williams continuing a great season. 8 receptions, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Richard, why did you have him on your bench?
Last week he did nothing. And I was like, okay, they're playing the Browns. I think the Browns are going to focus on him. The Browns defense has played great up to this point. So I'm like, okay, they're going to focus on Mike Williams, make Herbert give it off. I'm going to bench Mike Williams. Yeah, Mike Williams had 36.5 points in my league.
Yeah, on the bench. One week does not define you, Richard. Also, Nick Chubb, 21 carries, 161 yards and a touchdown.
In my defense, I started Randall Cobb over him, who had a great week the week before, and I thought Randall Cobb would have another great week, and he did nothing. So yeah,
I don't trust anybody on the Packers that's not Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams. But
that's true.
Cowboys beat down the New York Giants. Dak Prescott.
Literally, I think everybody on the Giants is hurt now.
Yeah. Dak Prescott, 300 through the air, 3 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, 110 yards and a touchdown. The one bright spot for the Giants, I mean, Kadarius Toney, their controversial first-round pick, did have a career day with 10 receptions for 189 yards. So great day for him.
Yeah, ejected.
Yep. And then he threw a punch because he is from Florida and they're all degenerates. And yep, that's the end of that story. Cowboys won by 24.
Yeah. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley got hurt in that game too. So
yeah, Saquon's ankle looking as big as my calf muscle because it was so swollen. It's ridiculous. Cardinals, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. With a 17-10 game, but... it was so ugly. But thank God DeAndre Hopkins found the end zone for once. It's about time.
Hey, Josh Norman got stiff arm onto your couch back in Greenwood last week. This time he got planted to the dirt and your couch back in Greenwood this year. So
yeah, Josh Norman has not made any highlight plays for himself.
Yeah,
since he was on the Panthers, and it just hadn't been good. If you hear Josh Norman's name now, it's usually because he got stiff armed or he just got mossed. It's not good.
Yeah.
Trey Lance for San Francisco, 192 yards and a pick, so not a great day for him. Did run for 89 yards. He was their only source of rushing pretty much. And Deebo Samuel came back down to earth, 3 receptions, 58 yards. This Cardinal defense is still good. But once again, I want to mention, where is Chandler Jones? Where's he at? He's not even on the stat sheet. I'm so sick of this crap. 5 sacks in week 1 and he does nothing. I hate it. I hate the Titans. JJ Watt, 3 solo tackles, had 2 tackles for loss. JJ Watt still kind of defying age, like Tom Brady as well. But this Cardinals team, good. Still the only undefeated team left. I mean, how far can they go? We'll see.
They got a tough division, but we'll see.
And then, as we said, right now we're recording during the Colts-Ravens game. Colts out to a hot start. They are currently up 7-0.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz,
60-yard touchdown reception, and that just gave me a loss in fantasy this week. So,
God, great job. I'm sorry. You should have started Mike Williams, bro.
No, I should have. Josh Allen too starting, so looking good.
Carson Wentz, 2 of 4, 87 yards and a touchdown. He's off to a hot start. We'll see if that lasts. Colts defense. I will mention this one more time. Colts defense against the rush, since they've had that defensive coordinator, has only given up a 100-yard rusher to one guy, Derrick Henry. They're very good against the rush. The Ravens love to run the ball, so that's going to be interesting to watch all night. It looks like they're containing it early.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's that.
Yeah. So this week, me and Waff, we're enemies. This week we have one preview for you. It's Monday Night Football, and we may have something special working out for that one. So just keep locked and loaded on the socials.
Yeah.
For possible live stream action.
I don't want to miss that.
Monday. Monday Night Football, Bills and Titans. These two teams met last year, of course. It was the game that got moved to like Wednesday or something because of COVID.
It was
Tuesday, yeah. I think it was supposed to be on either Monday night or Sunday Night Football that week too, or something like that. Yeah. But got moved around because of the COVID. Titans ended up winning that one. They rolled in that one to a pretty big win. That was one of the rare weeks where the Bills just looked inept on offense.
Yeah.
Last year. This year, Bills are picked to win by 5.5 points. This should be a fantastic game. Should be a great crowd in Nissan Stadium. I think I'm going to talk about what the Bills need to do to win, and then Waff, if you want to talk about what the Titans need to do to win this one, I'll start. I think the Bills need to do what the Jets have done, what you saw the Jags do, and that's just blitz the heck out of Ryan Tannehill. This offensive line's been banged up for the Titans. They haven't looked great, and if they can send some blitzes, they can get Rousseau can get going. Right now, there's no Matt Milano for the Bills, which will help out the Titans for sure, because Matt Milano can get in there quick if he is able to. But yeah, still got a good linebacking core for the Bills. I think you're going to see them blitz a lot more than they did against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And offensively, again, just kind of do what you did against the Chiefs. Just kind of take advantage of secondary. You saw Zach Wilson was able to, when he rolled out some for the Jets, he was able to roll out and get guys open. Of course, you got a lot more talented receivers for the Bills than the Jets did, so hopefully they're able to get themselves open. But yeah, and then run the ball with the quarterback, and then on defense, just blitz the heck out of Tannehill. Henry's going to get his at some point, but make Tannehill, have to run the ball or make them have to give it off to Henry every play. This kind of make them one-dimensional.
Yeah,
the Bills would win this one. But it's going to be a heck of a game, and you never know what could happen. Maybe the Titans come out, and then maybe the ones they figure out this Bills offense and defense.
Yeah. for Tennessee, Tennessee's just obviously Tennessee is going to have to pressure Josh Allen. They're going to have to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. They're going to have to contain him as well. I mean, it's a double-edged sword playing the Bills, especially with the Titans defense. But Titans defense is going to have to guard. They're going to have to make sure Diggs doesn't have any big plays that limit the chunk plays. Make the Bills hand the ball off and utilize Zach Moss and Singletary. Because I think the Bills definitely do need to get the running game going to win, but I think the Bills are at their worst when they're having to rely on Moss and Singletary, and I don't think anybody opposed me on that. But Titans defensive wise, like obviously got to contain Josh Allen, and we just got to play a sound game. We got to get pressure on him. Offensive wise, one, we got to have people play. Two, we have to obviously jam up the protection. Ryan Tannehill cannot be running around for his life. We obviously are going to pound the ball with Henry. We're going to try to do that. Hopefully that works. We got to be able to open up holes for Henry. And we know that even with bad blocking, Henry is still a special running back. He can do his own thing. But here's my thing. The Titans injury report is unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's so freaking stupid. Like how we literally had 21 people on the injury report this past week. It's what is it, week 5, 6? Like, god dang.
Look at the one on the ESPN. It shows like 5 people right now, and you have to click a button to see the full injury report.
Right. So I'm looking at the full one right now, and just Jayon Brown, who we signed back again as our middle linebacker, he's on injured reserve. Racing McMath, a guy that we drafted, a wide receiver help, which we desperately need. Injured reserve. Tommy Hudson, a backup tight end who has played a lot in the past couple of weeks. Injured reserve. Aaron Brewer, who is a backup center who has played a bunch because we've had injuries on our offensive line, is on injured reserve, so without him as well. And then coming into it, Roger Saffold has been dealing with a shoulder injury all year. He got hurt in the Jacksonville game. We'll see if he plays. Christian Fulton, arguably our best corner all year, is also he was ruled out of the game during Sunday's contest, and we'll see if he plays. And then our big free agent acquisition, Bud Dupree, has been out for a couple weeks. Like, in order for the Titans to win this game, we have to at least get Bud Dupree back, and we have to have Julio Jones play.
Yeah,
because we're going to have multiple facets. We can't pound the ball with Henry all game and win this game. Now, I think the Titans can do that to a couple other people, and because Henry is that good. But against a Bills team with the defense like they've got, you have to be two-dimensional. You have to keep fooling them because they're the number one scoring defense in the league for a reason, and they can flip a game. So Titans got to clean up the injuries, but on offense, we just got to use the run game to open up the pass game. Ryan Tannehill has got to play mistake-free football. And we have to get some wide receivers in the stat sheet. We have to get Julio Jones his first career Tennessee Titan touchdown or something. A.J. Brown's got to find the end zone. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That should be fired up for that one. Again, like I said, possibly a live stream. We're going to kind of work out some things. We'll let you know what's going on with that in the next couple of days. Now, quickly run through the NFL Week 6 report. Thursday Night Football. This should be a pretty good one. Bucks at the Eagles. Tom Brady taking on Jalen Hurts. We'll have to see if the Eagles are legit. Eagles have not won a home game this year, which is very surprising.
Well, they're not going to win one this week either.
Yeah, probably aren't. Bucks are going to look to roll over them because Tom Brady is, they had that one weird game against the Rams, and since then, just kind of got together. Sunday, another London game, and this is another act of war by the United States on England. We're sending the Dolphins and the Jags to play at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and we're sending them to London. Why?
Oh my God! And what kind of degenerate wakes up at 6:30 in California and watches this game? It would be me, but if I lived out there. But this is just another one. Like I'm telling you, the NFL only sends their best when they're trying to appeal to the rest of the world.
We want to grow the game internationally. Here are the Jags and the Dolphins.
What a dumpster fire!
Yeah. Watch this be the one game the Jags win all year, and their only win's going to come outside the United States.
Move them to London.
Exactly.
They're London's team. Get them out.
That's wild, man. We are trying to get another second Revolutionary War going on here.
Yeah.
That. Starting at 1:00. Division rival game, Packers and the Bears. starts off. Packers pick the win by 4.5. Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Fields. We'll see if Fields is ready for the big time.
Yeah.
Should be a good game. Bengals at Lions. Bengals pick the win by 3 because, of course, they are. Watch, they're going to kick. McPherson's going to kick a 59-yard field goal to win.
Look, I really like the Bengals, but Lions, please, please get a win.
Yeah. Texans and Colts. Like I said, Colts playing Monday Night Football right now. They picked the win by 10, but Davis Mills looked pretty good. But no, I think he's going. The Colts defense is pretty good, so it'll be hard for him to get anything going. I think. Probably won't be as bad as it was against the Bills, but it could be a long day.
Mm-hmm.
Rams at the Giants. Rams pick the win by 10.5. Giants probably without Saquon Barkley, probably without Daniel Jones, without Darius Toney. Probably it's going to be rough for the Giants.
Murder.
Yeah, they are so banged up, and the Rams are one of the highest teams in the NFL. Chiefs at the Washington football team. Chiefs pick the win by 6.5. Hey, if the Chiefs have been talked about their offense struggling, well, just take out your aggression on Washington this week.
Yeah, and Washington, you talk about your defense being good. I'm telling you what's not going to be good this week, your defense.
Yeah, it could get ugly in that one. Vikings at the Panthers. Panthers pick the win by 1.5. Christian McCaffrey might be back for this one. Panthers are hopeful he can come back for this one, so that could change the entire complexion of this game.
Yeah, probably going to be a heartbreaker for either team.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings have been more prone to heartbreak in the last couple of games, but so this one I think should be a closely contested matchup.
Yeah, sneaky good game at 1:00. Chargers and the Ravens.
Offense galore.
Yeah, over under 50.5 in this one, and I would not be surprised if they hit that. Herbert versus Jackson. That's going to be real fun to watch. I'm probably going to start Mike Williams this week.
There ain't no probably to it. You will.
Yeah. That's going to be a barn burner. And then your afternoon slate, only one 4:05 game. That's the Browns and the Cardinals. Browns are picked to win this game actually by 2.5. We'll see if the Browns defense can recover after just a poor showing against the Chargers late in that one. But their offense finally got rolling, and you got to take on a really good Cardinals defense now.
Yeah.
So interesting to see which one of those can break in that one. 4:25 Raiders at the Broncos. Denver's picked to win this one.
Yeah,
very surprising. I mean, Derek Carr's looked kind of pedestrian the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, battle of the pretenders. We'll see who emerges.
Yep. Last 4:25 game, the Cowboys at the Patriots. I think everybody in America wants both these teams to lose.
Yeah.
Except for that one loud section of Cowboys fans that says this is their year.
Hi, Mom.
Cowboys can get the 5-1 though, the win, and they're picked to win by 4, so that could be a big time.
They're going to be insufferable if they get to 5-1. Don't let it happen, Patriots.
What stinks is I like Dak and I like Zeke, but gosh, I just don't like their fans, man.
Yeah.
And then your Sunday night football game. This one probably a lot more hyped up in the past. Now it's kind of disappointing because it's Geno Smith against an old Ben Roethlisberger. It's Seahawks and the Steelers. Steelers picked the win by 4.5. I think they'll probably win this one pretty convincingly, unless Geno decides to have a great game. We'll see.
Yeah. Please, I'm asking one thing. Tyler Lockett, do something.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's your NFL slate.
This week also starts the first bye week. So Falcons are off, Saints are off, Jets are off, and the 49ers are off. So now we'll start having less games to talk about. Yeah,
that's probably why I got the 4:05 game. I'm still in shock at Dolphins Jags game, man.
It's gonna be just amazing.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something for sure.
Yeah.
The Bills have a bye week next week. Interesting. Anyway, so we'll roughly wrap up best plays we saw this week, and hopefully we'll have video this week so you can actually see these best plays. I'll go first. This comes from the Denver Broncos Pittsburgh Steelers game. And I know the Broncos lost this game, but Teddy Bridgewater can still sling it. He hit Cortland Sutton on a beautiful dime in the end zone to get the Broncos back into this one, make it a game. So Teddy Bridgewater, man, this is a great story for him. Just destroyed his knee in Minnesota, comes back after about 2 years. It doesn't work out in Minnesota, goes to Carolina last year, and then goes to Denver. Finally found a home, I think. I don't know how great the Broncos are going to be this year, but it's a good story for him, and sees that he still has it and he can still sling it around some.
Yeah.
Waffle, what's your play of the week?
My play of the week comes from Georgia Tech and Duke. College football action on Saturday night in the ACC, and we got to talk about Jeff Sims for Georgia Tech, because this throw that he makes, this was a really good game. Like if you watch this game, it was very entertaining. So Georgia Tech has the ball. They're down 27-24 after Duke just scored a go-ahead touchdown to take the lead. I shouldn't have said that twice. That's a double negative. Duke scores up 27-24. Georgia Tech's got the ball on the 36-yard line. There's 58 seconds left. Georgia Tech, Jeff Sims, there is 3rd and 6. He steps back, gets the snap off his back foot. Feet are not set. Just a floating strike to the end zone and pass interference on Duke. Caught for a touchdown for Georgia Tech. Just an unreal play. When I saw it, I was kind of in shock because it's such a great throw.
I'm putting in the angles that Georgia Tech media crew have. They have 2 cameras on this one. My God, it's a perfect shot, by the way. But also just Jeff Sims off his back foot. He's getting pressured. This ball hangs in the air for so long.
Yeah, it's an unreal throw. Jeff Sims to Adonicus Sanders, 36 yards for a touchdown to bury the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, so that's our plays of the week. Hopefully you can see them. Waffle, we may have just hit 2 hours. So, hey, we're getting better.
We are better.
We'll check and see because right now we're recording. So you'll find out if we're 2 hours or not when you listen or watch this. Some things to plug this week. Your boys back on the Carson Newman football pregame, halftime, and postgame show as Carson Newman hosts Lenore Ryan. Eagles still looking for their first win. They've had some tough losses of late. They're looking to take on the Bears this weekend for Hall of Fame weekend at Carson Newman. So we'll see you about noon is the pregame show. That game starts at 1. And come to halftime and postgame show as we'll wrap up what's going on in the South Atlantic Conference. Waffle, anything to plug for you, sir?
I will be at Lander twice this week. Wednesday night, I will be there for a women's soccer game. I'll be doing the PA as the women's team. Hold on one second. Sorry. Takes on North Georgia at home at 7 p.m. at Van Taylor Stadium in Greenwood. And then on Saturday, I will be back, I believe. Oh, gosh, I don't even know. I believe it is for men's soccer on Saturday. Yeah, they're taking on they'll be taking on Young Harris on Saturday, which Young Harris is prime Division II soccer right here. Lander has taken some losses. They already played Young Harris once this year, lost 2-1. Lander men's soccer also lost 5-2 to Anderson, and they lost to Chowan, and they also lost to Southwestern. So this is not the same Lander team as of late. Lander is 7-4 on the season, but they've had a lot of injuries to deal with. This team is still good and one of the better ones in the PBC. So I would be interested to see if they have some people back to play against Young Harris. This is going to be a heck of a game because Young Harris and Lander are always perennial great men's soccer programs. So with some fantastic games over the past couple of years. So it should be a good one on Saturday.
Yeah, Young Harris, I believe, comes ranked in number 1 in the Southeast in some of the polls that are going on.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big time.
They're stupid good.
Big time matchup between those two teams. So, yeah, so that's what we got going on. Hopefully, whatever you've got going on this weekend, whether you're watching football from home or you're going out and watching a sporting event, have fun, check it out, and hopefully you stay safe and enjoy some great action. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will see you next time. And, hey, don't forget, this Monday, we may have some live content for you with the Bills and the Titans. So be on the lookout for that.
One more thing. Go Braves.
Absolutely.
Braves. Got on my Braves jersey. They just took a 2-1 lead over the Brewers in the NLDS, looking for second consecutive trip to the NLCS. So very excited. Go Braves.
Absolutely. Hopefully when we drop this, hopefully they haven't been eliminated from the playoff contention.
Brian McCann.
There you go. Brian McCann. The spirit of Brian McCann is with the Braves for this one as they look to continue. Baseball playoffs are wild in the way. So we'll see y'all later, and we hope to see you next time. You've been listening to Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Logos designed by Jen Perry. You can follow Richard on Twitter at Ricardo_knows or on Instagram at RNM1996. Catch up with Waffle at WaffDog on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on this Bearded Broadcaster production.